How's it going? What's going on, Mike? Oh, Mike, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Some reason, man, ain't nobody getting the notifications, man. Not sure what the fuck's up with that. I signed into my second account. I couldn't even see, where I watch all, like the stuff I really watch on YouTube, so the way they're gonna get corrupted by this nonsense. Yeah, man. I couldn't even see nothing available. I still don't even see it available. My live stream, and I am live stream.
Yeah, I have the notification on my browser, but not on my phone. I didn't get anything, so I'm not sure what's going on. I think it's just a YouTube thing.
They're waiting on the gone, whatever. But welcome everybody's man tomorrow here. What we're doing? We're doing our last. There he is, right there. Hold on, make you the moderator. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Hey, what's going on?
Ready to rock?
Hold on. Hey, and Nicole, my bad, man. I muted you on accident. I was trying to make Mike the. Damn, how come it won't allow me to do it? More. Exercise video. Yeah, how come it won't let me make you moderator? What's going on? Hold on a second. Let me try it on my phone. See what's... Yeah, man. Some reason it won't even let me change the permissions. What in the world is going on? Let me try and put my phone. Mike. Guess. Oh, there we go. Boom. There you go, Mike.
All right, so here's my preliminary on this.
Yeah.
Biden has to come out not with both guns blazing, but just needs to chip away at the blunders that Trump has committed over the last maybe 14 days or so.
Oh man.
That's all he
Just
has to do.
14? Yeah.
He doesn't have to go all the way back, right? See, once you point out the most recent things that people can remember, that's going to be more impactful than you go back 6 or 9 months. He's really just got to pin him down on the economy. He's really just got to pin him down on domestic policy. He's really got to pin him down on the pandemic, and he's really just got to pin him down on pulling out of the Paris Climate Change Agreement Accord. All of these things are things that he's actually done that's been visible. You got to go after the things that are visible, not the things that people are not so visible to the public, because then it becomes kind of wishy-washy. You don't really know how to verify things on the spot. You got to be able to attack the things that are verifiable and not the things that are questionable.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. All right, go ahead and go. So I'll
No,
go
no,
last. For my
go ahead.
prediction.
Go ahead. I'll go after you.
For my prediction for Biden, because we're doing Biden first, I think Biden is not going to have a strong showing. I think he's going to depend too heavily on Trump's microphone being muted, and I think that he's going to pretty much put up the same performance that he did in the first debate. I don't think he's going to go for no home run or anything like that here because he can't come off too swinging too wild because you know how the conservative media runs the opinion of everybody in the country, and they act like that's not the case, but it definitely is. But that's what I think Biden's going to do. I mean, I don't think he's going to be able to land any type of shots, and that's what it's going to be, man. So
All right. I'll say that, what Biden has to do is talk into the camera, talk to the people a lot more. The race is already underway. We have millions of votes, tens of millions of votes have already been cast. And a lot of this is a fait accompli. A lot of people who will be listening to this have already voted. So right now with Biden, the key for Biden right now is talking to the camera, talk to the people, talk a little bit more on policy as to what he is going to bring forth a bit different than what the president has done. Definitely highlight his tremendous blunders. I have to give a lot of credit to Barack, who came in and just ethered his ass yesterday, and that really kind of gave a real hype up here to kind of hype up the highlights of the uh, what the Obama Biden administration did. Take back, I believe he will come in and look to take back the economy piece and state that it was our economy that we did, and expand on that a bit. Constantly hammering away at the failures that he has seen here of the Trump administration, and basically not really don't flub anything too much. Don't get emotional and just hang back a bit, but yet be competent, sound forceful, with conviction. I think that's what we're going to see from him tonight. I don't think it's going to be, the most masterful performance of all time, but he doesn't have to do that here. Talk to the people and gain some, and keep gaining confidence as the race continues to bank votes. For both sides. Well, I don't know. It looks like maybe the Democrats may have some edge, but looking at the numbers here, it looks like Biden might be having, he might have a slight advantage as of right now. But the name of the game is to come out here and punch forward with his plan and stay on the failures of the president, and do not fall. And I don't believe that he's going to look to fall into the pitfalls of what the president wants to drag him into, a personal fight, talking about Hunter and everything else like this. That I don't believe the people are really too much info. Trump is really not in a good position because his China accounts and stuff that comes with China. He's got bank accounts in China and all that. I mean, he's got a lot of stuff that doesn't bode well for him as well. So let Biden kind of just punch away at the holes that this guy has. Don't get too emotional. That's what I think he's going to do. Sound forceful and speak on their record. And I think that's what his game plan is going to be here tonight. And he doesn't need to have to knock a home run out the park. What he has to do is sound competent, look competent, don't sound like a doddering old man. And I think that'll carry him forward for the rest of the campaign.
yeah. So Mike, you got any for the battleground states, kind of like that, Poland?
Say that again, MOT?
No, I'm talking to Mike.
Oh.
Still there?
Yeah, my mic is muted. I was just talking and couldn't hear me. Let me pull that up.
because he has to win all these battleground states, like all of them.
And we're gonna break that down in a minute because this is gonna be highly buttlerly. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, because I know like the national average, but these battleground states is gonna be is it's gonna be what sinks it.
Yeah,
Because well, once we start doing our debate coverage at 6 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. I mean, not tomorrow, but a week from Wednesday. Well, actually, this coming Tuesday. Well, actually, a week from Tuesday. Sorry. It's just that I think that's major because what should show up in the polls now, because it's been what 3 weeks since the first debate, about 3 weeks.
yeah.
That should have been showing up in the polls right now in the battleground states.
I think we're seeing some of that. I do think we're seeing it. But anyway, let's see what Mike's gonna say. Mike, go ahead.
No, I'm just pulling this up. So this is where we are right now as of last night.
Hold on a second. Nebraska is in play? What?
You have a lot. See, that's the thing. You have Georgia, you have Arizona, you even have Texas, not so much, but looks like that could potentially still be in play. Florida's in play. All the key states are all the key battleground states literally are statistically in play for Biden, where Trump, he did win them by a slim margin the last time around. We're talking about the key battlegrounds, about Iowa. He definitely took it in Michigan. He definitely took it in Pennsylvania. Those are the three key ones. We're really going to look at this thing here, and we're going to talk about whose path to victory. If Joe Biden wins Iowa, takes Wisconsin as well, but we can take Wisconsin out of it for a second. But he wins Iowa, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Jacques Abor, as they say in Brazilian Portuguese, Jacques Abor. It's over. It's over. It's basically over. And then the rest of the blue states that will traditionally come in on the Democratic side will take him to 270. That's basically it. Trump has to take the Democratic what's called firewall, and that firewall is Pennsylvania. That firewall is Michigan, is Iowa, and is Wisconsin. He's got to pretty much or come very close to running the table there. He's got to pretty much do that. But as of right now, with Michigan being, depending on what poll you read, anywhere from 7 to 10 points ahead or so. And he's up, in Iowa. He's up in Wisconsin, even though it's close. He's up in Wisconsin, and he is up in Pennsylvania. Okay, now Pennsylvania is where they're putting a lot of heat right now to see if they can flip that state. This is the key, because I sat down and looked at Pennsylvania. 3 key areas in Pennsylvania that are going to carry the state. It's going to be Philadelphia. It's going to be Pittsburgh, and it's also going to be Wilkes-Barre and Scranton. Those are going to be the key areas. Everything else out in Pennsylvania, even though you got wide areas, Willow Grove, and those other places you might want to talk about, they're not as perfused. There's 12 million people in that state, and you're looking at these 3 areas holding the majority of the residents of that state. The rest of it is pastoral, farmland out there, and
Amish country.
Yep, God's country, and basically it's akin to basically Alabama. Okay, so you will have a lot of Trumpites out there and so forth, but the plurality of victory in Pennsylvania are those 3 areas. If Obama and them are working that can kind of get their people out again in Philly, if they can get their people out, because you have a very large Black and Latino population also in Pittsburgh, You have somewhat of a mixed population in Wilkes-Barre and so forth there, where you have workers who are coming in, some who are Hispanic and so forth. You have that there. Union area as well. Joe comes from that area as well. That's an area that will that he could potentially hold real strong there. But if he goes real strong in those cities, Pennsylvania's his. So it's going to be a slightly tough race for the president to turn that over, because these are classical Democratic states. Obama won it twice, of course. Clinton, of course, he took it twice, of course. These are very classic Democratic kind of strongholds, because they hold the edge in Democratic registrations as well. So more registered voters are Democrats in these areas. So not to say that every Democrat in there is going to vote for Biden, but he will hold strong, and voting there is strong, and they're banking a lot of numbers currently as we speak. They're banking a lot of votes right now. And the governor of Pennsylvania is a Democrat as well. So as far as, really looking at voter suppression and these types of things going on will be greatly reduced, especially when it comes down to the side of the Secretary of State of Pennsylvania. You won't have those issues like we will see in Texas, like we will see in Georgia and so forth, where they're going to do all they can to negate as many votes as possible from that perspective. But that's what's going on in Pennsylvania. That's why Pennsylvania looks so dangerous for the president. That's why he's standing there and was complaining when he was in Willow Grove about being back over there. I'm tired. I'm back over there. He didn't want to be back there, but it is what it is. So this is where the race is. It is literally right now in Wisconsin. It is in Iowa. It is in Michigan and Pennsylvania. That will take Biden to about 278. That'll take him over the 270 mark. And you will see a new president if he's able to do that. Trump has to go in there and knock some of that out. He's got to do that. That's where we are as far as that's concerned, as far as I see the race. Go ahead, guys, break it down.
On the map that I have the same map up. I just filled it in for what I had. I didn't fill in Ohio, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, North Florida. I left those open. I gave them Wisconsin. I gave them Maine. And pretty much my map. Hold on a second. Let me share my map real quick, Mike. Share screen. Oh. All right. This is my map right here. As you can see, I have the Democrats 242. I have the Republicans at 197. I gave them Maine. I gave them Wisconsin. But I left these for, obviously, wait, hold on a second. So, he has to win out. He has to win out. He has to win all four of these to win. I don't think he's going to be able to do it. Because if he wins all four, 2, 3, boom, he's president. But if he lose even one of these, now look at it. So that's why it has to be, it's going to come down to these 4 states. Because I don't think after that stuff that happened with Michigan and the governor, ain't no way in the hell that state's going to go red. It just can't. But this is, and I'm being very modest by giving them Wisconsin, giving them everything. Everything but I know they're not going to win Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, or Nevada. I don't even have them winning that. Gave them Alaska and Maine, but everything else, it's still going to come down to these four states. Because I think everything closes, I think, at 11 p.m. Eastern time for these four states at
Hmm.
the same time, and we're going to know. Because, like I said, right now I have the Democrats at 242 without these four states. So let's see what happens if I give them three of the four. Okay, let's give Trump 29, and let's give him Pennsylvania, and then let's give Biden Ohio and this.
Biden's not going to take Ohio. I don't believe he's going to take Ohio.
Not me either, but yeah.
But I believe his best shot. I believe Biden will take Pennsylvania.
Wait, hold on a second. I forgot Hawaii. So, all right. So this is the closest they probably could get. $271 to $267. That's
Yeah,
what I got.
the Biden game looks. The Democrats do look strongest. Pennsylvania, in my view, is the linchpin in this whole game.
Yes, if he loses Pennsylvania, it's a wrap. Like I said, I gave him Pennsylvania and I gave him Florida.
It's the linchpin, and I believe that Biden is going to take Pennsylvania. Biden statistically is tied in Florida. He may be up a little bit, but those old folks down there are very tight about what's been going on with the COVID piece, and they're upset at the deaths. They're just older population. Be a little bit more upset about that. And it looks like the president has not really addressed it. Says he's got a cure, and that's going to be certainly appealing to some people to sit down and say there's a cure out there. But everyone's listening to the news, and Pfizer and the rest of these other big pharma are not sounding as promising with the cure that quickly. But as of right now, the key battleground states I think that we're looking at are the ones that are going to be key. Basically, all in all, the reality is the president cannot lose one major battleground state. He can't lose one. He literally can't lose one. And he's got to come in and break up some of the Democratic firewall that has been classically strong Democratic strongholds. Once again, that's Michigan, that's Iowa, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. He's got to really hold tough there, but he can't lose one battleground state. If he does, the proverbial jig is up. That's a tough game that the president is caught up in right now. So he does have a path to victory, but he's got to run the table primarily in the major battleground states, which we'll see if he's able to do this. That's where the heat is at. Mike, you have anything else to add on that, or would you agree or disagree?
No, I'm kind of balanced on that as well. I don't have anything to challenge it.
Yeah, but right now I have it. The closest it could come to 271 is 267, and I just think that I don't think Trump is going to get, even though I did give it to him, Pennsylvania and Florida. I think that Biden gets Pennsylvania, Biden gets North Carolina, Trump gets Florida, Trump gets Ohio. Let's see what we do here. Trump gets, Biden gets this, Biden gets that, Trump gets this, Trump gets that. We're still 291, 247.
Yeah. Trump's got to bust in the firewall. These guys have broken this thing down. Yeah. He's got to get up in that firewall that he got last time. He's got to do it. He's got to pull that off.
He won by too little votes. He screwed over a lot of people in those areas because of job. It's just going to be, yeah.
He's got to crank into the Democratic firewall. He's got to be able to get some of that. He's got to be able to get that. If he cannot do it, he finish. And that's basically where his real problem is. And, as he said, before the other day, 2 weeks ago, I thought I wasn't going to win. Now he's trying to feel a little hyped up to kind of get going, but he knows what's ahead of him right now, and to say that he can't do it, he's the incumbent, so I will definitely not say that he cannot do that. There's a possibility. The numbers right now don't look that great. I do not believe that this debate is going to be decisive with respect to either candidate. I think people are voting already. Some of the slim margins that you're really dealing with in a couple of states are may play somewhat of a role, but in the major battleground ones, there's not a lot of room left. There's not a lot of there's not a lot, and Biden, unlike Hillary, has been trending at 50% or better in these areas. 50% or better, where Hillary was like 48, 40, 44, and that kind of thing. Biden is like 51, 52, 46, 47, that type of thing. So Biden has been trending heavier in these areas above 50%, which is not a good sign for the president. So that's where we are in the numbers. This is how the numbers tend to trend. So that's why I say Biden is going to play a little bit more defense and let the president run out and just come out with a staccato New York Queens talk and sound and kind of go crazy. Now, if the president can come in there and stay cool and calm, not lose his cool, and literally lay out a good plan and ask the people for more time. Ask and sound, come off affable and kind of funny and that kind of thing. That I believe can certainly sway some voters and play a little bit of and be and can be a little bit problematic. But at the end of the day,
I'm not going to start it.
I think it's a ground game. I don't know if it started yet.
You got 90 seconds. Let me pull up.
Go ahead, Mike. I'm done. I'm finished.
Can anyone hear anything?
I can't hear anything, Mike. We're about 1 minute away, so if we can get it going.
We don't see any pages. Wait, hold on a second. What in the world?
Yeah, we're about 30 seconds away.
All right.
Muting of the mic is going to be a game changer. I'd be interested to see how this plays out.
It's gonna be awesome.
Good evening from Belmont University in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm Kristen Welker of NBC News, and I welcome you to the final 2020 presidential debate between President Donald J. Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. Tonight's debate is sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates. It is conducted under health and safety protocols designed by the Commission's health security advisor. The audience here in the hall has promised to remain silent. No cheers, boos, or other interruptions, except right now, as we welcome to the stage former Vice President Joe Biden and President Donald J. Trump.
Yeah, I hear some popping in the background, Mike.
That popping?
And I do want to say a very good evening to both of
Okay.
you. This debate will cover 6
Okay,
major
it's clear now.
topics. At the beginning of each section, each candidate will have 2 minutes uninterrupted to answer my first question. The debate commission will then turn on their microphone only when it is their turn to answer, and the commission will turn it off exactly when the 2 minutes have expired. After that, both microphones will remain on, but on behalf of the voters, I'm going to ask you to please speak one at a time. The goal is for you to hear each other and for the American people to hear every word of what you both have to say. And so with that, if you're ready, let's start. And we will begin with the fight against the coronavirus. President Trump, the first question is for you. The country is heading into a dangerous new phase. More than 40,000 Americans are in the hospital tonight with COVID, including record numbers here in Tennessee. And since the two of you last shared a stage, 16,000 Americans have died from COVID. So please be specific. How would you lead the country during this next stage of the coronavirus crisis? 2 minutes uninterrupted.
So, as you know, 2.2 million people modeled out were expected to die. We closed up the greatest economy in the world in order to fight this horrible disease that came from China. It's a worldwide pandemic. It's all over the world. You see the spikes in Europe and many other places right now. If you notice, the mortality rate is down 85%. The excess mortality rate is way down and much lower than almost any other country. And we're fighting it, and we're fighting it hard. There is a spike. There was a spike in Florida, and it's now gone. There was a very big spike in Texas. It's now gone. There was a very big spike in Arizona. It's now gone. And there are some spikes and surges in other places. They will soon be gone. We have a vaccine that's coming. It's ready. It's going to be announced within weeks, and it's going to be delivered. We have Operation Warp Speed, which is the military is going to distribute the vaccine. I can tell you from personal experience that I was in the hospital. I had it, and I got better. And I will tell you that I had something that they gave me, a therapeutic, I guess they would call it. Some people could say it was a cure. But I was in for a short period of time, and I got better very fast, or I wouldn't be here tonight. And now they say I'm immune, whether it's 4 months or a lifetime. Nobody's been able to say that, but I'm immune. More and more people are getting better. We have a problem that's a worldwide problem. This is a worldwide problem, but I've been congratulated by the heads of many countries on what we've been able to do. If you take a look at what we've done in terms of goggles and masks and gowns and everything else, and in particular ventilators, we're now making ventilators all over the world, thousands and thousands a month, distributing them all over the world. It will go away. And as I say, we're rounding the turn, we're rounding the corner. It's going away.
Okay, former Vice President Biden, to you, how would you lead the country out of this crisis? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
220,000 Americans dead. If you hear nothing else I say tonight, hear this. Anyone who's responsible for not taking control, in fact, not saying I take no responsibility initially. Anyone who's responsible for that many deaths should not remain as president of the United States of America. We're in a situation where there are 1,000 deaths a day now, 1,000 deaths a day. And there are over 70,000 new cases per day. Compared to what's going on in Europe, as the New England Medical Journal said, they're starting from a very low rate. We're starting from a very high rate. The expectation is we'll have another 200,000 Americans dead between now and the end of the year. If we just wore these masks, the president's own advisors have told him, we could save 100,000 lives. And we're in a circumstance where the president thus far and still has no plan, no comprehensive plan. What I would do is make sure we have everyone encouraged to wear a mask all the time. I would make sure we move in the direction of rapid testing, investing in rapid testing. I would make sure that we set up national standards as to how to open up schools and open up businesses so they can be safe and give them the wherewithal, the financial resources to be able to do that. We're in a situation now where the New England Medical Journal, one of the most serious journals in the whole world, said for the first time ever that the way this president has responded to this crisis has been absolutely tragic. And so, folks, I will take care of this. I will end this. I will make sure we have a plan.
President Trump, I'd like to follow up with you in your comments. You talked about taking a therapeutic. I assume you're referencing Regeneron. You also said a vaccine will be coming within weeks.
Yes.
Is that a guarantee?
No, it's not a guarantee, but it will be by the end of the year. But I think it has a good chance. There are two companies, I think, within a matter of weeks, and it will be distributed very quickly.
Can you tell us which companies?
Johnson & Johnson is doing very well. Moderna is doing very well. Pfizer is doing very well. And we have numerous others. Then we also have others that we're working on very closely with other countries, in particular Europe.
Let me follow up with you, and because this is new information, you have said a vaccine is coming soon, within weeks now. Your own officials say it could take well into 2021 at the earliest for enough Americans to get vaccinated. And even then, they say the country will be wearing masks and distancing into 2022. Is your timeline realistic?
No, I think my timeline is going to be more accurate. I don't know that they're counting on the military the way I do, but we have our generals lined up, one in particular, that's the head of logistics. And this is a very easy distribution for him. He's ready to go as soon as we have the vaccine. And we expect to have 100 million vials. As soon as we have the vaccine, he's ready to go.
Vice President Biden, your reaction, and just 40% of Americans say they would definitely agree to take a coronavirus vaccine if it was approved by the government. What steps would you take to give Americans confidence in a vaccine if it were approved?
Make sure it's totally transparent. Have the scientists of the world see it, know it, look at it, go through all the processes. And by the way, this is the same fellow who told you this is going to end by Easter last time. This is the same fellow who told you that, don't worry, we're going to end this by the summer. We're about to go into a dark winter. And he has no clear plan, and there's no prospect that there's going to be a vaccine available for the majority of the American people before the middle of next year.
President Trump, your reaction, he says you have no
We're
plan.
going to have a dark winter and at all. We're opening up our country. We've learned and studied and understand the disease, which we didn't at the beginning. When I closed and banned China from coming in heavily infected, and then ultimately Europe, but China was in January. Months later, he was saying I was xenophobic. I did it too soon. Now he's saying, oh, I should have, moved quicker. But he didn't move quicker. He was months behind me, many months behind me. And frankly, he ran the H1N1 swine flu, and it was a total disaster, far less lethal, but it was a total disaster. Had that had this kind of numbers, 700,000 people would be dead right now, but it was a far less lethal disease. Look, his own person who ran that for him, who, as you know, was his chief of staff, said it was catastrophic. It was horrible. We didn't know what we were doing. Now he comes up and he tells us how to do this. Also, everything that he said about the way every single move that he said we should make, that's what we've done. We've done all of it. But he was way behind us.
Vice President Biden, your response.
My response is he is xenophobic, but not because he shut down access from China. And he did it late after 40 countries had already done that. In addition to that, what he did, he made sure that we had 44 people that were in there in China trying to get to Wuhan to determine what exactly the source was. What did the president say in January? He said, no, he said, he's being transparent. The president of China is being transparent. We owe him a debt of gratitude. We have to thank him. And then what happened was we started talking about using the Defense Act to make sure we go out and get whatever is needed out there to protect people. And again, I go back to this. He had nothing. He did virtually nothing. And then he gets out of the hospital and he talks about don't worry. It's all going to be over soon. Come on. There's not another serious scientist in the world who thinks it's going to be over soon.
President Trump, your reaction?
Say over soon. I say we're learning to live with it. We have no choice. We can't lock ourselves up in a basement like Joe does. He has the ability to lock himself up. I don't know. He's obviously made a lot of money someplace, but he has this thing about living in a basement. People can't do that. By the way, I, as the president, couldn't do that. I'd love to put myself in the basement or in a beautiful room in the White House and go away for a year and a half until it disappears. I can't do that. And Kirsten, every meeting I had, and I'd meet a lot of families, including Gold Star families and military families, every meeting I had, and I had to meet them. I had to. It would be horrible to have canceled everything. I said, this is dangerous. And you catch it. And, I caught it. I learned a lot. Great doctors, great hospitals. And now I recovered. 99.9 of young people recover. 99% of people recover. We have to recover. We can't close up our nation. We have to open our school, and we can't close up our nation, or you're not going to have a nation.
And of course, the CDC has said young people can get sick with COVID-19 and can pass it. Vice President Biden, I want to talk broadly about strategy, though.
Can I respond to that?
30 seconds, please, and then I have a question.
No, number one, he says that we're learning to live with it. People are learning to die with it. You folks home will have an empty chair at the kitchen table this morning. That man or wife going to bed tonight and reaching over to try to touch out of habit where their wife or husband is gone. Learning to live with it. Come on. We're dying with it because he has never said, he said it's dangerous. When's the last time? Is it really dangerous still? Are we dangerous? You tell the people it's dangerous now? What should they do about the danger? And you say, I take no responsibility.
Let me talk about your two.
Excuse me, I take full responsibility. It's not my fault that it came here. It's China's fault. And you know what? It's not Joe's fault that it came here either. It's China's fault. They kept it from going into the rest of China for the most part, but they didn't keep it from coming out to the world, including Europe and ourselves.
Vice President Biden.
The fact is that when we knew it was coming, when it hit, what happened? What did the president say? He said, don't worry, it's going to go away. Be gone by Easter. Don't worry. The warm weather. Don't worry. Maybe inject bleach. He said he was kidding when he said that, but a lot of people thought it was serious. A whole range of things the president has said. Even today, he thinks we are in control. We're about to lose 200,000 more people.
President Trump.
Look, perhaps just to finish this, I was kidding on that, but just to finish this, when I closed, he said I shouldn't have closed. And that went on for months. Nancy Pelosi said the same thing. She was dancing on the streets in Chinatown in San Francisco. But when I closed, he said, this is a terrible thing. You're xenophobic. I think he called me racist even. And because I was closing it to China. Now he says I should have closed it earlier. Joe, it doesn't work.
I didn't say either of those things.
You certainly did. You certainly did.
I talked about a xenophobia in a different context. It wasn't about closing the border to Chinese coming to the United States.
All right, I want to talk about both of your different strategies to handling
He thought
this.
I shouldn't have closed the border.
Well,
That's obvious.
do you want to respond to that quickly, Vice President
No.
Biden? Okay, let's talk about your different strategies toward dealing with this. Mr. Vice President, you suggested you would support new shutdowns if scientists recommended it. What do you say to Americans who are fearful that the cost of shutdowns, the impact on the economy, the higher rates of hunger, depression, domestic and substance abuse outweighs the risk of exposure to the virus?
What I would say is I'm going to shut down the virus, not the country. It's his ineptitude that caused the country to have to shut down in large part. Why businesses have gone under, why schools are closed, why so many people have lost their living, and why they're concerned. Those other concerns are real. That's why he should have been, instead of in a sand trap at his golf course, he should have been negotiating with Nancy Pelosi and the rest of the Democrats and Republicans about what to do about the acts they were passing for billions of dollars to make sure people had the capacity.
But you haven't ruled out more shutdowns.
Well, no, I'm not shutting down the neighborhood, but there are, look, you need standards. The standard is if you have a reproduction rate in a community that's above a certain level, everybody says, slow up, more social distancing, do not open bars and do not open gymnasiums, do not open until you get this under control, under more control. But when you do open, give the people the capacity to be able to open and have the capacity to do it safely. For example, schools, they need a lot of money to open. They need to deal with ventilation systems. They need to deal with smaller classes, more teachers, more pods. And he's refused to support that money, or at least up to now.
Let's talk about schools. President Trump,
I think we have to respond, if I might.
please, and then I have a follow-up.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. Look, all he does is talk about shutdowns, but forget about him. His Democrat governors, Cuomo in New York, you look at what's going on in California, you look at Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Democrats all, they're shut down so tight and they're dying. They're dying. And he supports all these people. All he talks about is shutdowns. No, we're not going to shut down, and we have to open our schools. And it's like, as an example, I have a young son. He also tested positive. By the time I spoke to the doctor the second time, he was fine. It just went away. Young people, I guess it's their immune system.
Let me follow up with you, President Trump. You've demanded schools open in person and insist they can do it safely. But just yesterday, Boston became the latest city to move its public school system entirely online after a coronavirus spike. What is your message to parents who worry that sending their children to school will endanger not only their kids, but also their teachers and families?
I want to open the schools. The transmittal rate to the teachers is very small, but I want to open the schools. We have to open our country. We're not going to have a country. You can't do this. We can't keep this country closed. This is a massive country with a massive economy. People are losing their jobs. They're committing suicide. There's depression, alcohol, drugs at a level that nobody's ever seen before. There's abuse, tremendous abuse. We have to open our country. You know, I've said it often, the cure cannot be worse than the problem itself. And that's what's happening. And he wants to close down. He'll close down the country if one person in our massive bureaucracy says we should close it down.
Vice President Biden, your response.
Simply not true. We ought to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. We ought to be able to safely open, but they need resources to open. You need to be able to, for example, if you're going to open a business, have social distancing within the business. You need to have, if you have a restaurant, you need to have plexiglass dividers so people cannot infect one another. You need to be in a position where you can take testing rapidly and know whether a person is in fact infected. You need to be able to trace. You need to be able to provide all the resources that are needed to do this. And that is not inconsistent with saying that what we're going to make sure that we open safely. And by the way, all you teachers out there, not that many of you are going to die, so don't worry about it. Come on.
President Trump, let me follow up with you quickly.
By the way, I will say this. If you go and look at what's happened to New York, it's a ghost town. It's a ghost town. And when you talk about plexiglass, these are restaurants that are dying. These are businesses with no money. Putting up plexiglass is unbelievably expensive, and it's not the answer. I mean, you're going to sit there in a cubicle wrapped around with plastic. These are businesses that are dying, Joe. You can't do that to people. You just can't. Take a look at New York and what's happened to my wonderful city for so many years. I loved it. It was vibrant. It's dying. Everyone's leaving New York.
Take a look at what New York has done in terms of turning the curve down in terms of the number of people dying. And I don't look at this in terms of the way he does. Blue states and red states. They're all the United States. And look at the states that are having such a spike in the coronavirus. They're the red states. They're the states in the Midwest. They're the states in the upper Midwest. That's where the spike is occurring significantly. But they're all Americans. They're all Americans. And what we have to do is say, wear these masks, number one. Make sure we get the help that the businesses need that has money's already been passed to do that. It's been out there since the beginning of the summer and nothing's happened.
President, New York has lost more than 40,000 people, 11,000 people in nursing homes.
President Trump, what
When you
about
say spike, take a look at what's happening in Pennsylvania, where they've had it closed. Take a look at what's happening with your friend in Michigan, where her husband's the only one allowed to do anything. It's been like a prison. Now it was just ruled unconstitutional. Take a look at North Carolina. They're having spikes and they've been closed and they're getting killed financially. We can't let that happen, Joe. You can't let that happen. We have to open up. And we understand the disease. We have to protect our seniors. We have to protect our elderly. We have to protect especially our seniors with heart problems and diabetes problems. And we will protect them. We have the best testing in the world by far. That's why we have so many cases.
Let me follow up
It's a
with you
joke.
before we move on to our next section. President Trump, this week you called Dr. Anthony Fauci, the nation's best known infectious disease expert, quote, a disaster. You described him and other medical experts as, quote, idiots. If you're not listening to them, who are you listening to? Fight this.
I'm listening to all of them, including Anthony. I get along very well with Anthony, but he did say, don't wear masks. He did say, as you know, this is not going to be a problem. I think he's a Democrat, but that's okay. He said, this is not going to be a problem. We are not going to have a problem at all. When Joe says that, I said, Anthony Fauci said, and others, and many others, and I'm not knocking him a lot. Nobody knew. Look, nobody knew what this thing was. Nobody knew where it was coming from, what it was. We've learned a lot. But Anthony said, don't wear masks. Now he wants to wear masks. Anthony also said, if you look back, exact words, here's his exact words. This is no problem. This is going to go away soon. So he's allowed to make mistakes. He happens to be a good person.
Vice President Biden, your response quickly, and then we're going to move on to the next
My
section.
response is that think about what the president knew in January and didn't tell the American people. He was told this was a serious virus that spread in the air, and it was much worse than the flu. He went on record and said to one of your colleagues, recorded, that in fact he knew how dangerous it was, but he didn't want to tell us. He didn't want to tell us because he didn't want us to panic. He didn't want us, Americans don't panic. He panicked. But guess what? In the meantime, we found out in the New York Times the other day that, in fact, his folks went to Wall Street and said this is a really dangerous thing. And a memo out of that meeting, not from his administration, but from some of the brokers, said sell short because we got to get moving. It's a dangerous problem.
Well, this is
I'm going to give you 30 seconds to respond, and then we're
The
going
Wall
to
Street
move
one,
on.
I don't know. Somebody went to Wall Street. You're the one that takes all the money from Wall Street. I don't take it.
I
Joe,
have.
you have raised a lot of money, tremendous amounts of money. And every time you raise money, deals are made, Joe. I could raise so much more money as president and as somebody that knows most of those people. I could call the heads of Wall Street, the heads of every company in America. I would blow away every record, but I don't want to do that because it puts me in a bad position. And then you bring up Wall Street. You shouldn't be bringing up Wall Street because you're the one that takes the money from Wall Street, not me. I could blow away your records that like you wouldn't believe. We don't need money. We have plenty of money. In fact, we beat Hillary Clinton with a tiny fraction of the money that she was able.
All right, gentlemen, we're going to
Don't
move
tell me
on.
about Wall
Average
Street.
contribution, $43.
All right, we're going to move on to our next section, which is national security. And I do want to start with the security of our elections and some breaking news from overnight. Just last night, top intelligence officials confirmed again that both Russia and Iran are working to influence this election. Both countries have obtained U.S. voter registration information, these officials say, and Iran sent intimidating messages to Florida voters. This question goes to you, Mr. Vice President. What would you do to put an end to this threat? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
I made it clear, and I ask everyone else to take the pledge. I made it clear that any country, no matter who it is, that interferes in American elections will pay a price. They will pay a price. It's been overwhelmingly clear this election, I won't even get into the last one, this election, that Russia has been involved, China has been involved to some degree, and now we learn that Iran is involved. They will pay a price if I'm elected. They're interfering with American sovereignty. That's what's going on right now. They're interfering with American sovereignty. And to the best of my knowledge, I don't think the president said anything to Putin about it. I don't think he's talked with them a lot. I don't think he said a word. I don't know why he hadn't said a word to Putin about it. And I don't know what he has recently said, if anything, to the Iranians. My guess is he'd probably be more outspoken with regard to the Iranians. But the point is this, folks. We are in a situation where we have foreign countries trying to interfere in the outcome of our election. His own national security advisor told him that what is happening with his buddy well, I won't, I shouldn't, well, I will. His buddy, Rudy Giuliani, he's being used as a Russian pawn. He's being fed information that is Russian, that is not true. And then what happens? Nothing happens. And then you find out that everything that's going on here about Russia is wanting to make sure that I do not get elected the next president of the United States because they know I know them and they know me. I don't understand why this president is unwilling to take on Putin when he's actually paying bounties to kill American soldiers in Afghanistan, when he's engaged in activities that are trying to destabilize all of NATO. I don't know why he doesn't do it, but it's worth asking the question, why isn't that being done? Any country that interferes with us will, in fact, pay a price because they're affecting our sovereignty.
President Trump, same question to you.
to
Let me
respond.
ask the
Yeah.
question. You're going to have 2 minutes to respond. For 2 elections in a row now, there has been substantial interference from foreign adversaries. What would you do in your next term to put an end to this? 2 minutes
Well,
uninterrupted.
let me respond to the first part as Joe answered. Joe got $3.5 million from Russia, and it came through Putin because he was very friendly with the former mayor of Moscow, and it was the mayor of Moscow's wife. And you got $3.5 million. Your family got $3.5 million. And, you know, someday you're going to have to explain, why did you get 3.5? I never got any money from Russia. I don't get money from Russia. Now, about your thing last night, I knew all about that. And through John Ratcliffe, who is fantastic, DNI, he said, the one thing that's common to both of them, they both want you to lose, because there has been nobody tougher to Russia between the sanctions, nobody tougher than me on Russia. Between the sanctions, between all of what I've done with NATO, you know, I've got the NATO countries to put up an extra 130 billion, going to $420 billion a year. That's to guard against Russia. I sold, while he was selling pillows and sheets, I sold tank busters to Ukraine. There has been nobody tougher on Russia than Donald Trump. And I'll tell you, they were so bad. They took over the submarine port. You remember that very well. During your term, during you and Barack Obama, they took over a big part of what should have been Ukraine. You handed it to them, but you were getting a lot of money from Russia. They were paying you a lot of money, and they probably still are. But now, with what came out today, it's even worse. All of the emails, the horrible emails of the kind of money that you were raking in, you and your family. And Joe, you were vice president when some of this was happening, and it should have never happened. And I think you owe an explanation to the American people. Why is it? Somebody just had a news conference a little while ago who was essentially supposed to work with you and your family, but what he said was damning. And regardless of me, I think you have to clean it up and talk to the American people. Maybe you can do it right now.
Vice President Biden, you may respond. in 30
Be straight
seconds.
here.
And then I do want to follow up on the election security.
I have not taken a penny from any foreign source ever in my life. We learned that this president paid 50 times the tax in China, has a secret bank account with China, does business in China, and in fact is talking about me taking money. I have not taken a single penny from any country whatsoever, ever. Number one. Number two, this is a president, I have released all of my tax returns, 22 years. Go look at them. 22 years of my tax return. You have not released a single solitary year of your tax return. What are you hiding? Why are you unwilling? The foreign countries are paying you a lot. Russia's paying you a lot. China's paying you a lot. And your hotels and all your businesses all around the country, all around the world. And China's building a new road to a new a golf course you have overseas. So what's going on here? Why don't release your tax return or stop talking about corruption?
President Trump, your response.
First of all, I called my accountants under audit. I'm going to release them as soon as we can. I want to do it, and it'll show how successful, how great this company is. But much more importantly than that, people were saying $750. I asked them a week ago, I said, what did I pay? They said, sir, you prepaid tens of millions of dollars. I prepaid my tax, tens over the last number of years, tens of millions of dollars I prepaid, because at some point they think it's an estimate. They think I may have to pay tax. So I already prepaid it. Nobody told me that.
Did your accountant
Nobody
tell you
told
when
you
you
that.
could release
Excuse
them?
me. And it wasn't written whenever they write this. They keep talking about $750, which I think is a filing fee. But let me just tell you, I prepaid millions and millions of dollars in taxes. Number one. Number two, I don't make money from China. You do. I don't make money from Ukraine. You do. I don't make money from Russia. You made $3.5 million, Joe, and your son gave you. They even have a statement that we have to give 10% to the big man. You're the big man, I think. I don't know. Maybe you're not, but you're the big man, I think. Your son said we have to give 10% to the big man. Joe, what's that all about? It's terrible.
All right, gentlemen, I want to
all right.
ask you both some questions
I have to
about all of
respond
this,
to
but
that.
I'm going to let you both respond very quickly. You just said you spoke to your accountant
Yes.
about potentially releasing your taxes. Did he tell you when you can release them? Do you
As
have
soon
a
as the audit is
deadline for
finished.
when you're going to release them
I
to the
get
American
treated
people?
worse than the Tea Party got treated. Because
you
I have a
don't
lot
have
of
a time.
people in there, deep down in the IRS, they treat me horribly. We made a deal, it was all settled until I decide to run for president. I get treated very badly by the IRS, very unfairly. But we had a deal all done. As soon as we're completed with the deal, I want to release it. But I have paid millions and millions of dollars, and it's worse than paying. I paid in advance. It's called prepaying your taxes. I paid in advance.
I want to ask you
Yep.
both about questions regarding your potential foreign entanglements and questions that have been raised to give you both a chance
Some
to
point
talk
I'd
about
respond
this
to
more
this.
broadly. Respond very quickly, and then I'll get to my question.
Why did he's been saying this for 4 years? Show us. Just show us. Stop playing around. You've been saying for 4 years you're going to
knows.
release your taxes. Nobody knows it, Mr. President. What they do
Okay.
know is you're not paying your taxes, or you're paying taxes that are so low. When last time he said what he paid, he said, I only pay that little because I'm smart. I know how to game the system. Come on. Come on, folks.
Very
So
quickly, President Trump, and then I want to get to two questions to both of you
Sure.
on this.
I was put through a phony witch hunt for 3 years. It started before I even got elected. They spied on my campaign. No president should ever have to go through what I went through. Let me just say this. Mueller and 18 angry Democrats and FBI agents all over the place spent $48 million. They went through everything I had, including my tax returns, and they found absolutely no collusion and nothing wrong. 48 million. I guarantee you, if I spent 1 million on you, Joe, I could find plenty wrong, because
All
the
right.
kind of things that you've done and the kind of monies that your family has taken. I mean, your brother made money in Iraq,
Let me-
millions of dollars. Your other brother made a fortune, and it's all through you, Joe. And they say you get some of it, and you do live very well. You have houses all over the place. You live very well.
All right, gentlemen, let me just ask some
man.
questions about all of this broadly. Vice President Biden, there have been questions about the work your son has done in China and for a Ukrainian energy company when you were vice president. In retrospect, was anything about those relationships inappropriate or unethical?
Nothing was unethical. Here's what the deal. With regard to Ukraine, we had this whole question about whether or not, because he was on the board, I later learned of a Burisma, a company, that somehow I had done something wrong. Yet every single solitary person, when he was going through his impeachment, testifying under oath who worked for him, said, I did my job impeccably. I carried out U.S. policy. Not one single solitary thing was out of line. Not a single thing, number one. Number two, the guy who got in trouble in Ukraine was this guy trying to bribe the Ukrainian government to say something negative about me, which they would not do and did not do, because it never, ever, ever happened. My son has not made money in terms of this thing about, what are you talking about? China. I have not had, the only guy made money from China is this guy. He's the only one. Nobody else has made money from China.
Never
President
did
Trump,
deal with
let me
China. By the
ask
way,
my question to you.
But
and
could
then
I just,
you'll-
one thing?
Very quickly.
His son didn't have a job for a long time, was sadly no longer in the military service. I won't get into that. And he didn't have a job. As soon as he became vice president, Burisma, not the best reputation in the world. I hear they paid him $183,000 a month. Listen to this, 183, and they gave him a $3 million upfront payment.
All right.
And he had no energy.
I'm going to let the vice president
That's
respond to that quickly, and then I
100%
need to get to a
dishonest.
question to you. Very
No
quickly, Mr.
basis for
President.
that. Everybody investigated that. No one said anything he did was wrong in Ukraine.
Okay, President Trump, this is for you. Since you took office, you've never divested from your business. You've personally promoted your properties abroad. A report this week, which was referenced, does indicate that your company has a bank account in China. So how can voters know that you don't have any foreign conflicts of interest?
I have many bank accounts and they're all listed and they're all over the place. I mean, I was a businessman doing business. The bank account you're referring to, which is everybody knows about it, it's listed. The bank account was in 2013. That's what it was. It was opened it was closed in 2015, I believe. And then I decided, because I was thinking about doing a deal in China like millions of other people. I was thinking about it and I decided I'm not going to do it. Didn't like it. I decided not to do it. Had an account open and I closed it.
Okay.
Excuse me. And then, unlike him, where he's vice president and he does business, I then decided to run for president after that. That was before. So I closed it before I even ran for president, let alone became president. Big difference. He is the vice president of the United States, and his son, his brother, and his other brother are getting rich. They're like a vacuum cleaner. They're sucking
Okay,
up money every
President Trump,
place he
thank you.
goes.
We do
Not
need to
true.
move on. I do want to ask you, Vice President Biden, about China. Let's talk about China more broadly. There have, of course, President Trump has said that they should pay for not being fully transparent in regards to the coronavirus. If you were president, would you make China pay? And please be specific. What would that look like?
What I'd make China do is play by the international rules, not like he has done. He has caused the deficit of China to go up, not down, with China, up, not down. We are making sure that in order to do business in China, you have to give all your intellectual property. You have to have a partner in China. It's 51%. We would not do that at all, number one. Number two, we're in a situation where China would have to play by the rules internationally as well. When I met with Xi, when I was still vice president, he said, we're setting up air identification zones in the South China Sea. You can't fly through them. I said, we're going to fly through them. We just flew B-52, B-1 bombers through it. We're not going to pay attention. They have to play by the rules. And what's he do? He embraces guys like the thugs like in North Korea and the Chinese president and Putin and others. And he pokes his finger in the eye of all of our friends, all of our allies. We make up we're 25% of the world's economy. We need to be having the rest of our friends with us saying to China, these are the rules. You play by them or you're going to pay the price for not paying by them economically. That's the way I will run it. And that's what we did in upholding steel tariffs and a range of other things when we were president and vice president.
All right, let's talk about North Korea.
Excuse me, no, I have to
Yes.
respond to that.
Okay, very quickly, and
His
then we're
son
going to move
walked
on
out
to
with
North
$1.5
Korea.
billion from China to
Not
manage after
true.
spending 10 minutes in office and being in Air Force Two, number one. Number two, there's a very strong email talking about your family wanting to make $10 million a year for introductions.
President Trump, on China policy,
True.
though, what
No, but wait a
specifically are
minute.
you going to do? What specifically are you going to do to make China pay? You've said you're going
First
to
of
make
all,
them pay.
China is paying. They're paying billions and billions of dollars. I just gave
New
$28 billion.
sanctions? New
Listen,
sanctions?
I just gave $28 billion to our farmers. because
Taxpayers'
China-
money.
It's what?
Taxpayers' money. Didn't come from
You
China.
know who the taxpayer is? It's called China. China paid
true.
$28 billion, and you know what they did to pay it, Joe? They devalued their currency, and they also paid up. And you know who got the money? Our farmers, our great farmers, because they were targeted. You never charged them anything. Also, I charged them 25% on dumped steel because they were killing our steel industry. We were not going to have a steel industry.
Okay.
And now we have a steel
Okay,
industry.
Vice President Biden, your response, please.
Our response is, look, this isn't about, there's a reason why he's bringing up all this malarkey. There's a reason for it. He doesn't want to talk about the substantive issues. It's not about his family and my family. It's about your family. And your family's hurting badly. If you're making if you're a middle-class family, you're getting hurt badly right now. You're sitting at the kitchen table this morning deciding, well, we can't get new tires, they're bald because we have to wait another month or so. Or are we going to be able to pay the mortgage? Or who's going to tell her she can't go back to community college? They're the decisions you're making in the middle-class families like I grew up in Scranton and Claymont. They're in trouble. We should be talking about your families, but that's the last thing he wants to talk about.
I want
That is a
to talk
typical
about
statement.
North Korea.
Excuse me,
I
just
do
for
want
1
to turn
second,
to
please.
10 seconds, Mr. President,
That's
10
a
seconds.
typical political statement. Let's get off this China thing. And then he looks, the family, around the table, everything. Just
All
a
right.
typical politician when I see that.
Let's talk
I'm
about
not
North
a typical
Korea now.
politician.
Okay,
That's why I
President
got
Trump.
elected.
Let's talk
Let's
about-
get off the subject of China. Let's talk around sitting around the table.
All right.
Come on, Joe, you can do better.
We're going to talk about North Korea now. President Trump, you've met with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un 3 times. You've talked about your beautiful letters with him. You've touted the fact that there hasn't been a war or a long-range missile test. And yet North Korea recently rolled out its biggest ever intercontinental ballistic missile and continues to develop its nuclear arsenal. Do you see that as a betrayal of the relationship you
No.
forged? Just 30 seconds here because we need to get on to the next.
So when I met with Barack Obama, we sat in the White House right at the beginning, had a great conversation. It was supposed to be 15 minutes and it was well over an hour. He said the biggest problem we have with North Korea. He indicated we will be in a war with North Korea. Guess what? It would be a nuclear war. And he does have plenty of nuclear capability. In the meantime, I have a very good relationship with him. Different kind of a guy, but he probably thinks the same thing about me. We have a different kind of a relationship. We have a very good relationship, and there's no war. And you know, about 2 months ago, he broke into a certain area. They said, oh, there's going to be trouble. I said, no, they're not, because he's not going to do that. And I was right. Look, instead of being in a war where millions of people, Seoul, you know, is 25 miles away, millions and millions, 32 million people in Seoul, millions of people would be
Okay.
dead right now.
President
We
Trump,
don't have a
that's
war,
30
and I have a
seconds.
good
Thank you.
relationship.
Vice President Biden, to you, North Korea conducted 4 nuclear tests under the Obama administration. Why do you think you would be able to rein in this persistent threat? Right
Because I'd make it clear, which we were making clear to China, they had to be part of the deal. Because here's I made it clear, and as a spokesperson of the administration, when I went to China, that they said, why are you moving your missile defense up so close? Why are you moving more forces here? Why are you continuing to do military maneuvers with South Korea? I said, because North Korea is a problem, and we're going to continue to do it so we can control them. We're going to make sure we can control them and make sure they cannot hurt us. And so if you want to do something about it, step up and help. If not, it's going to continue. What has he done? He's legitimized North Korea. He's talked about his good buddy, who's a thug, and he talks about how we're better off, and they have much more capable missiles, able to reach U.S. territory much more easily than ever did before.
Let me follow up with you, Vice President Biden. You've said you wouldn't meet with Kim Jong-un without preconditions. Are there any conditions under which you would meet with him?
On the condition that he would agree that he would be drawing down his nuclear capacity to get that the Korean Peninsula should be nuclear-free zone.
All right, let's move on to American
Kristen,
families.
they tried
Very
to
quickly,
meet with
10
him.
seconds,
They
President.
tried to meet with him. He wouldn't do it. He didn't like Obama. He didn't like him. He wouldn't do it.
Okay, I
know
got to
for a
give him a
fact they
chance to
tried.
respond to that
He
before we
wouldn't
move
do
on.
it.
You
And
know,
that's okay. You know what, North Korea, we're not in a war. We have a good relationship. You know, people don't understand. Having a good
President
relationship
Trump,
with
we have to
leaders
move
of other
on, 'cause
countries
we have
is
a lot
a
of
good thing.
We have a lot of questions to get
Yes,
to.
not
That's
Your
like
response.
saying we had a good relationship with Hitler before he, in fact, invaded Europe, the rest of Europe. Come on. The reason he would not meet with President Obama is because President Obama said, we're going to talk about denuclearization. We're not going to legitimize you, and we're going to continue to put stronger and stronger sanctions on you. That's why he wouldn't meet with us.
All right,
And it
let's
didn't
move
happen.
on. Let's
Excuse
move on
me.
and talk
He
about
left
American
me a
families.
mess, Kristen.
President Trump, okay, we do
They
need to move
left
on.
me a mess. North Korea was a mess.
We
And
need
in fact,
to
if
move on
you
so that
remember
we
the
can get
first
to
2
all
or
of our
3
other
months,
questions tonight,
there was a
President
very
Trump.
dangerous period in my first 3 months before we sort of worked things out a little bit.
Okay.
There was a they left us a mess. And Obama would be, I think, the first to say it was the single biggest problem he thought that our country.
Okay, let's move on to American families and the economy. One of the issues that's most important to them is healthcare, as you both know. Today, there was a key vote on a new Supreme Court Justice, Amy Coney Barrett, and healthcare is at the center of her confirmation fight. Over 20 million Americans get their health insurance through the Affordable Care Act. It's headed to the Supreme Court, and your administration, Mr. President, is advocating for the court to overturn it. If the Supreme Court does overturn that law, those 20 million Americans could lose their health insurance almost overnight. So what would you do if those people have their health insurance taken away? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Sure. First of all, I've already done something that nobody thought was possible. Through the legislature, I terminated the individual mandate. That is the worst part of Obamacare, as we call it. The individual mandate where you have to pay a fortune for the privilege of not having to pay for bad health insurance. I terminated. It's gone. Now it's in court because Obamacare is no good. But then I made a decision, run it as well as you can to my people, great people. Run it as well as you can. I could have gone the other route and made everybody very unhappy. They ran it. Premiums are down. Everything's down. Here's the problem. No matter how well you run it, it's no good. What we'd like to do is terminate it. We have the individual mandate done. I don't know that it's going to work. If we don't win, we will have to run it and we'll have Obamacare, but it'll be better run. But it no longer is Obamacare because without the individual mandate, it's much different. Pre-existing conditions will always stay. What I would like to do is a much better healthcare, much better, will always protect people with pre-existing. So I'd like to terminate Obamacare, come up with a brand new, beautiful healthcare. The Democrats will do it because there'll be tremendous pressure on them, and we might even have the House by that time. And I think we're going to win the House, okay? You'll see, but I think we're going to win the House. But come up with a better healthcare, always protecting people with pre-existing conditions. And one thing very important, we have 180 million people out there that have great private healthcare. Far more than we're talking about with Obamacare. Joe Biden is going to terminate all of those policies. These are people that love their health care, people that have been successful, middle-income people, been successful. They have 180 million plans, 180 million people, families, under what he wants to do, which will basically be socialized medicine. He won't even have a choice. They want to terminate 180 million plans. We have done an incredible job on health care. And we're going to do even better.
Okay,
Let me
Vice
respond.
President Biden, yes, this is for you. Your healthcare plan calls for building on Obamacare. So my question is, what is your plan if the law is ruled unconstitutional by the Supreme Court? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
What I'm going to do is pass Obamacare with a public option, become Biden care. The public option is an option that says that if you in fact do not have the wherewithal to be, if you qualify for Medicaid and you do not have the wherewithal in your state to get Medicaid, you automatically are enrolled, providing competition for insurance companies. That's what's going to happen. Secondly, we're going to make sure we reduce the premiums and reduce drug prices by making sure that there's competition that doesn't exist now by allowing the Medicare to negotiate drug prices with the insurance companies. Thirdly, the idea that I want to eliminate private insurance, the reason why I had such a fight with 20 candidates for the nomination was I support private insurance. That's why not one single person with private insurance would lose their insurance under my plan, nor did they under Obamacare. They did not lose their insurance unless they chose they wanted to go to something else. Lastly, we're going to make sure we're in a situation that we actually protect pre-existing. There's no way he can protect pre-existing conditions. None, zero. You can't do it in the ether. He's been talking about this for a long time. He's never come up with a plan. I guess we're going to get the pre-existing condition plan the same time we get the infrastructure plan that we've been waiting since 17, 18, 19, and 20. The fact, I still have a few more minutes. I know you're getting anxious. The fact is that he's already cost the American people, because of his terrible handling of the COVID virus and the economic spillover, 10 million people have lost their private insurance. And he wants to take away 22 million more people who have it under Obamacare, and over 110 million people with pre-existing conditions. And all the people from COVID are going to have pre-existing conditions. What are they going to do?
I have a follow-up for you, Vice President Biden. It relates to something that President Trump said. He's accusing you of wanting socialized medicine. What do you say to people who have concerns that your health care plan, which includes a government insurance option, takes the country one step closer to a health care system run entirely by the government? What's your response
I say it's
to them?
ridiculous. It's like saying that, the idea that the fact that there's a public option that people can choose, that makes it a socialist plan. Look, the difference between the president, I think healthcare is not a privilege, it's a right. Everyone should have the right to have affordable healthcare. And I am very proud of my plan. It's gotten endorsed by all the major labor unions, as well as a whole range of other people who in fact are concerned in the medical field. This is something that's going to save people's lives, and this is going to give some people an opportunity an opportunity to have health care for their children. How many of you home are worried and rolling around in bed tonight wondering what in God's name you're going to do if you get sick? Because you've lost your home insurance, your health insurance, your company's gone under. We have to provide health insurance for people at an affordable rate, and that's what I do.
President
Excuse
Trump,
me, he was
your
there
response.
for 47 years. He didn't do it. He was now there as vice president for 8 years. And it's not like it was 25 years ago. It was 3 3/4. It was just a little while ago, right? Less than 4 years ago. He didn't do anything. He didn't do it. He wants socialized medicine. And it's not that he wants it. His vice president, I mean, she is more liberal than Bernie Sanders and wants it even more. Bernie Sanders wants it. The Democrats want it. You're going to have socialized medicine, just like he went with fracking. We're not going to have fracking. We're going to stop fracking. We're going to stop fracking. Then he goes to Pennsylvania after he gets a nomination, where he got very lucky to get it. And he goes to Pennsylvania and he says, oh, we're going to have fracking. And you never asked that question. And by the way, so far, I respect very much the way you're handling this, I have to say.
By the way,
but somebody should ask the question.
you can ask.
He goes for a year. There will be
We
no
have
fracking. There
we
will
do
be
have
no
a number of
petroleum.
we have a number of topics we're
No,
going
but
to get
that's a
to.
big- that's a big
and
question.
we're going to get to we're going to get to a
It's the
number
same
of
thing with
topics.
socialized
I have to
medicine.
respond.
Vice President, your response, please.
My response is people deserve to have affordable health care, period. Period, period, period. And the Biden care proposal will in fact provide for that affordable health care, lower premiums. What we're going to do is going to cost some money. It's going to cost over $750 billion over 10 years to do it. And they're going to have lower premiums. You can buy into the better plans, the cheaper plans, lower your premiums, deal with unexpected billing, and have your drug prices drop significantly. He keeps talking about it. He hasn't done a thing for anybody on healthcare. Not a thing.
Tristan, when
Very
he
quickly,
says,
then I want to talk
when
about
he
what's
says
happening on
public
Capitol
option,
Hill.
he's talking about socialized medicine. And when he and healthcare, when he talks about a public option, he's talking about destroying your Medicare, totally
Wrong.
destroying your Social Security. And this whole country will come down. You know, Bernie Sanders tried it in his state. He tried it in his state. His governor was a very liberal governor. They wanted to make it work.
Okay,
It
let's let
was
Vice President
impossible
Biden
to work.
respond.
It doesn't
Vice
work.
President
He's
Biden,
a very
your
confused
response.
guy. He thinks he's running against somebody else. He's running against Joe Biden. I beat all those other people because I disagreed with them. Joe Biden he's running against. And the idea that we're in a situation that they're going to destroy Medicare, this is the guy that the actuary at Medicare said, if in fact, at Social Security, if in fact he continues to withhold his plan to withhold the tax on Social Security, Social Security will be bankrupt by 2023 with no way to make up for it. This is the guy who's tried to cut Medicare. So no, I mean, the idea that Donald Trump is lecturing me on Social Security and Medicare, come on.
He tried to get
10
rid of,
seconds,
he
Mr.
tried to hurt
President, and then I
Social
have to go to
Security
another
years
question.
ago. Years ago. Go back and look at the records. He tried to hurt Social Security years ago.
All
One
right,
thing,
let's move
but
on.
this
I'm
is
going to
the
move
guy
on.
that
Let me,
when they
Mr.
announced
President, I have
last
to move
week,
on to the next question.
They said
or
the
else
stock
we're not
market
gonna have
will
time to
boom
talk about it.
if I'm elected. If he's elected, the stock market will crash.
Okay, let's
biggest
move on to the
analysts are
next
saying that.
question
Let me respond.
very quickly.
Look, the idea that the stock market is booming is his only measure of what's happening. Where I come from in Scranton and Claymont, the people don't live off of the stock market. Just in the last three years during this crisis, the billionaires in this country made, according to the Wall Street, $700 billion more dollars. $700 billion more dollars, because that's his only measure. What happens to the ordinary people out there? What happens to them?
Let's talk about what's happening on Capitol Hill. We're going to
Kristen,
move on, gentlemen.
401ks are through the roof.
We're gonna
People's
move on.
stock are through the roof.
All
And
right.
he doesn't come from Scranton. That's like he lived there for a short
We're
period of
gonna-
time before he
okay,
even knew
we're
it.
gonna move on to
And
the
he
next
left.
question.
And the people of Pennsylvania
Let me
will
move
show
on
you
to my
that.
next question,
They
gentlemen.
understand.
As of tonight, more than 12 million people are out of work. And as of tonight, 8 million more Americans have fallen into poverty, and more families are going hungry every day. Those hit hardest are women and people of color. They see Washington fighting over a relief bill. Mr. President, why haven't you been able to get them the help they need? 30 seconds here.
Because Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to approve it. I do.
But you're the president.
I do, but I still have to get. Unfortunately, that's one of the reasons I think we're going to take over the House, because of her. Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to approve anything because she'd love to have some victories on a date called November 3rd. Nancy Pelosi does not want to approve it. We are ready, willing, and able to do something. Don't forget, we've already approved 3 plans, and it's gone through, including the Democrats, in all fairness. This one she doesn't want. It's near the election because she thinks it helps her politically. I think it hurts her politically.
All right,
By the
Mr.
way,
Vice President,
you know, the Republican leader in the United States Senate said he can't pass it. He will not be able to pass it. He does not have Republican votes. Why isn't he talking to his Republican friends?
let me follow up with you, Vice President
we made a
Biden,
deal, the
because
Republicans
let me
will
ask
pass
Vice
it.
President Biden a question. You are the leader of the Democratic Party. Why have you not pushed the Democrats to get a deal for the American people?
Well, I have, and they have pushed it. Look, they passed this act all the way back in the beginning of the summer. This is like it's not new. It's been out there. This HEROES Act has been sitting there. And look at what's happening. When I was in charge of the Recovery Act with $800 billion, I was able to get $145 billion to local communities that have to balance their budgets and states that have to balance their budgets. So then have to fire firefighters, teachers, first responders, law enforcement officers, so they can keep their cities and counties running. He will not support that. They have not done a thing for them. And Mitch McConnell said, let them go bankrupt. Let them go bankrupt. Come on. What's the matter
The bill
with
that
these
was
guys?
passed in the House was a bailout of badly run, high crime, Democrat, all run by Democrats, cities and states. It was a way of getting a lot of money, billions and billions of dollars to these states. It was also a way of getting a lot of money from our people's pockets to people that come into our country illegally. We were going to take care of everything for them. And what that does, and I'd love to do that, I'd love to help them, but what that does, everybody all over the world will start pouring into our country. We can't do it. This was a way of taking care of them. This was a way of spending on things that had nothing to do with COVID, as per your question. But it was really a big bailout for badly run Democrat cities and states.
All
By
right,
the
I
way,
want
if
to.
I get elected, I'm running as a proud Democrat, but I'm going to be an American president. I don't see red states and blue states. What I see is American, United States. And folks, every single state out there finds themselves in trouble. They're going to start laying off, whether they're red or blue, cops, firefighters, first responders, because teachers, because they have to balance their budget. And the founders were smart. They allowed the federal government to deficit spend to compensate for the United States of America.
I want to talk about the minimum wage, gentlemen. Mr. Vice President, we are talking a lot about struggling small businesses
Yes.
and business owners these days. Do you think this is the right time to ask them to raise the minimum wage? You, of course, support a $15 federal minimum
I
wage.
do, because I think one of the things we're going to have to do is we're going to have to bail them out too. We should be bailing them out now, those small businesses. You got 1 in 6 of them going under. They're not going to be able to make it back. They passed a package that allows us to be able to call PPP. Money is supposed to go to help them do everything from organize how they can deal with their businesses being open safely. Schools, how they can make classrooms smaller, how they can hire more teachers, how they can put ventilation systems in. They need the help. The businesses as well as the schools need the help. But these guys will not help them. Is not giving them any of the money.
We are going to move on to
Excuse me, one
immigration,
thing very
but I
quickly.
want
He
to
said
get
we
your
have to help our
reaction.
small businesses by raising the minimum wage. That's not helping. I think it should be a state option. Alabama is different than New York. New York is different from Vermont. Every state is different. It should be a state option.
You said very
We have to
recently.
help. It's very important. We have to help our small businesses.
You
How
said-
are you helping your small businesses when you're forcing wages? What's going to happen, and what's been proven to happen, is when you do that, these small businesses fire many of their employees.
You said
Not
very
true,
recently you would
by the way.
consider raising the federal minimum
it.
wage to $15
Say
an
it.
hour. You said recently you would consider raising the federal minimum wage to
What I
$15 an
really
hour. Is that
like,
still the case?
And I would consider it to an extent, but
In a
what I
second
really like,
administration?
in a second administration, but not to a level that's going to put all these businesses out of business. It should be a state option. Look, I've lived in different places. I know different places. They're all different. Some places, $15 is not so bad. In other places, other states, $15 would be
Okay, President
ruinous.
Trump, thank you. Quick response, Vice President Biden.
2 jobs, 1 job, be below poverty. People are making $6, $7, $8 an hour. These first responders, we all clap for as they come down the street because they've allowed us to make it. What's happening? They deserve a minimum wage of $15. Anything below that puts you below the poverty level. And there is no evidence that when you raise the minimum wage, businesses go out of business. That is simply not true.
We're going to
It's
talk
an
about
old saw.
immigration. We're going to talk about immigration now, gentlemen, and we're going to talk about families within this context. Mr. President, your administration separated children from their parents at the border, at least 4,000 kids. You've since reversed your zero tolerance policy, but the United States can't locate the parents of more than 500 children. So how will these families ever be reunited?
Children are brought here by coyotes and lots of bad people, cartels, and they're brought here, and they used to use them to get into our country. We now have as strong a border as we've ever had. We're over 400 miles of brand new wall. You see the numbers, and we let people in, but they have to come in legally, and they come in through
But
merit.
how will you
But
reunite
let me
these
just tell
kids
you,
with their
let me
families,
just tell you,
Mr.
they
President?
built cages. You know, they used to say, I built the cages. And then they had a picture in a certain newspaper, and it was a picture of these horrible cages. And they said, look at these cages. President Trump built them. And then it was determined they were built in 2014. That was him.
Do you
They
have a
built
plan to reunite the
cages.
kids?
Yes,
with
we're
their
working on it
families?
we're trying very hard. But a lot of these kids come out without the parents. They come over through cartels and through coyotes and through gangs.
Vice President Biden, let me bring you into this
525
conversation. Quick response and then another question to you.
These 500 plus kids came with parents. They separated them at the border to make it a disincentive to come to begin with. Real tough. We're really strong. And guess what? They cannot, it's not coyotes didn't bring them over. Their parents were with them. They got separated from their parents. And it makes us a laughing stock and violates every notion of who we are as a nation.
Let me ask you a follow-up
Kristen,
question.
they did it. We changed the policy.
Your response
They
to
did
that?
it. We changed.
did not
They built the
separate
cages.
they,
Who built the cages, Joe?
let's talk about what
Who
we're
built the
talking about.
cages,
Let's
Joe?
talk about what we're talking about. What happened? Parents were ripped, their kids were ripped from their arms and separated. And now they cannot find over 500 of sets of those parents, and those kids are alone. Nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. It's criminal. It's criminal.
Let me ask
Kristen,
you
I will
about
say this.
immigration.
They went
10
down.
seconds,
We
and
brought
then I need to ask
reporters,
you a question.
everything. They are so well taken care of. They're in facilities that were so clean.
But some
that
of
have
them
gotten
haven't been
such good-
reunited
But
with their
just ask
families.
one question. Who built the cages? I'd love you to ask him that. Who built the cages?
Let me ask about your immigration policy, Mr. Vice President. The Obama administration did fail to deliver immigration reform, which had been a key promise during the administration. It also presided over record deportations as well as family detentions at the border before changing course. So why should voters trust you with an immigration overhaul now?
Because we made a mistake. It took too long to get it right. It took too long to get it right. I'll be president of the United States, not vice president of the United States. And the fact is, I've made it very clear. Within 100 days, I'm going to send to the United States Congress a pathway to citizenship for over 11 million undocumented people. And all of those so-called dreamers, those DACA kids, they're going to be immediately certified again to be able to stay in this country and put on a path to citizenship. The idea that they are being sent home by this guy and they want to do that is they've gone to a country they've never seen before. I can imagine you're 5 years old, your parents are taking you across the Rio Grande River and it's illegal. And you say, oh no, Mom, leave me here. I'm not going to go with you. They've been here. Many of them are model citizens. Over 20,000 of them are first responders out there taking care of people during this crisis. We owe them. We owe them.
President
Kristen,
Trump,
he
your
had
reaction.
8 years to do what he said he was going to do. And I've
We
changed
did.
without having a specific, we got rid of catch and release. We got rid of a lot of horrible things that they put in and that they lived with. But he had 8 years he was vice president. He did nothing except build cages to keep children in.
Vice President
Wrong.
Biden, your response.
The catch and release, you know what he's talking about there? If in fact you had a family came across and they were arrested, they in fact were given a date to show up for their hearing. They were released. And guess what? They showed up for a hearing. And this is the first president in the history of the United States of America that anybody seeking asylum has to do it in another country. That's never happened before in America. That's never happened before in America. You come to the United States and you make your case that I seek asylum based on the following premise, why I deserve it under American law. They're sitting in squalor on the other side of the river.
President Trump, your response,
so
30
important.
seconds, and then we'll move
It
on.
just shows that he has no understanding of immigration or the laws. Catch and release is a disaster. A murderer would come in, a rapist would come in, a very bad person would come in. We would take their name. We have to release them into our country. And then you say they come back. Less than 1% of the people come back. We have to send
Not true.
ICE out and Border Patrol out to find them. We would say, come back in 2 years, 3 years. We're going to give you a court case. You need Perry Mason. We're going to give you a court case. When you say they come back, they don't come back, Joe.
do.
They never come back. Only the really, I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ, they might come back.
Okay,
But they're
President
very,
Trump, let's
very
give
few.
Vice President Biden a chance to respond, and then we're going to move on to the
You
next
don't know
section.
the law, Joe.
Vice President Biden, your response.
Know the law, what he's telling you is simply not true.
Well, check
Check
it
it
out. They
out.
don't come back.
Check it out.
All right, let's move on.
But we don't have to
the
worry
next
about it because they
section.
terminated it. So we don't have to worry about it.
Let's
anymore,
move
right.
on
Joe.
to the next
And you have
section.
525 kids not knowing where in God's name they're going to be and lost their parents.
Go ahead.
All right, let's talk about our next section, which is race in America. And I want to talk about the way Black and Brown Americans experience race in this country. Part of that experience is something called the talk. It happens regardless of class and income. Parents who feel they have no choice but to prepare their children for the chance that they could be targeted, including by the police, for no reason other than the color of their skin. Mr. Vice President, in the next 2 minutes, I want you to speak directly to these families. Do you understand why these parents fear for their children?
I do. I do. You know, my daughter is a social worker, and she's written a lot about this. She has her graduate degree from the University of Pennsylvania in social work. And you know, one of the reasons why I ended up working on the east side of Wilmington, Delaware, which is 90% African American, was to learn more about what was going on. I never had to tell my daughter, if she's pulled over, make sure she puts for a traffic stop, put both hands on top of the wheel and don't reach for the glove box because someone may shoot you. But a Black parent, no matter how wealthy or how poor they are, has to teach their child when you're walking down the street, don't have a hoodie on when you go across the street, making sure that you, in fact, if you get pulled over, yes, sir, no, sir, hands on top of the wheel, because you are, in fact, the victim, whether you're a person making child of a $300,000 a year person or someone who's on food stamps. The fact of the matter is there is institutional racism in America. And we have always said, we've never lived up to it, that we hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women are created equal. Well, guess what? We have never, ever lived up to it, but we've all constantly been moving the needle further and further to inclusion, not exclusion. This is the first president to come along and says, that's the end of that. We're not going to do that anymore. We have to provide for economic opportunity, better education, better health care, better access to schooling, better access to opportunity to borrow money to start businesses. All the things we can do, and I've laid out a clear plan as to how to do those things, just to give people a shot. It's about accumulating the ability to have wealth as well as it is to be free from violence.
President Trump, same question to you, and let me remind you of the question. I would like you to speak directly to these families. Do you understand why these parents fear for their children?
Yes, I do. And again, he's been in government 47 years. He never did a thing except in 1994 when he did such harm to the Black community. And they were called, and he called them super predators. And he said that. He said it, super predators. And they have never lived that down. 1994, your crime bill, the super predators. Nobody has done more for the Black community than Donald Trump. And if you look, with the exception of Abraham Lincoln, possible exception, but the exception of Abraham Lincoln, nobody has done what I've done. Criminal justice reform, Obama and Joe didn't do it. I don't even think they tried because they had no chance at doing it. They might have wanted to do it, but if you had to see the arms I had to twist to get that done, it was not a pretty picture. And everybody knows it, including some very liberal people that cried in my office. They cried in the Oval Office. 2 weeks later, they're out saying, gee, we have to defeat him. Criminal justice reform, prison reform, opportunity zones with Tim Scott, a great senator from South Carolina. He came in with this incredible idea for opportunity zones. It's one of the most successful programs. People don't talk about it. Tremendous investment is being made. Biggest beneficiary, the Black and Hispanic communities, and then historically Black colleges and universities. After 3 years of coming to the office, I love some of those guys. They were great. They came into the office and I said, what are you doing? After 3 years, I said, why do you keep coming back? Because we have no funding. I said, you don't have to come back every year. We have to come back because President Obama would never give them long-term funding. And I did 10-year long-term funding. And I gave them more money than they asked for because I said, I think you need more. And I said, the only bad part about this is I may never see you again because I got very friendly with them and they like me and I like them. But I saved it. Colleges and universities.
Okay, and we're going to talk about both of your records, but your response to that, Vice President?
My response to that is I never, ever said what he accused me of saying. The fact of the matter is in 2000, though, after the crime bill had been in the law for a while, this is the guy who said, the problem with the crime bill, there's not enough people in jail. There's not enough people in jail. And go on my website, get the quote, the date when he said it, not enough people. He talked about marauding gangs, young gangs, and the people who are going to maraud our cities. This is a guy who in the Central Park five innocent Black kids, he continued to push for making sure that they got the death penalty. None of them were guilty of the crimes they were suggested. Look, and talk about granted, he did in fact let 20 people, he commuted 20 people's sentences. We commuted over 1,000 people's sentences, over 1,000. The very law he's talking about is a law that in fact initiated by Barack Obama. And secondly, we're in a situation here where the federal prison system was reduced by 38,000 people under our administration. And one of these things we should be doing, there should be no minimum mandatories in the law. That's why I'm offering $20 billion to states to change their state laws to eliminate minimum mandatories and set up drug courts. No one should be going to jail because they have a drug problem. They should be going to rehabilitation, not to jail. We should fundamentally change the system, and that's what I'm going to do.
But why didn't he do it 4 years ago? Why didn't you do that 4 years ago, even less than that? Why didn't you do it? You were vice president. You keep talking about all these things you're going to do and you're going to do this, but you were there just a short time ago and you guys did nothing.
We did.
You know, Joe, I ran because of you. I ran because of Barack Obama, because you did a poor job. If I thought you did a good job, I would have never run. I would have never run. I ran because of you. I'm looking at you now. You're a politician. I ran because of you.
All right, Vice President Biden, your response to that, and then I do have some questions for both of you.
Well, I tell you what, I hope he does look at me because what's happening here is, you know who I am, you know who he is, you know his character, you know my character, you know our reputations for honor and telling the truth. I am anxious to have this race. I am anxious to see this take place. The character of the country is on the ballot. Our character is on the ballot. Look at us closely.
Let me ask some follow-up.
Excuse me.
Please respond, and then we're going to have follow-up
If this stuff is
questions.
true about Russia, Ukraine, China, other countries, Iraq, if this is true, then he's a corrupt politician.
All right.
So don't give me the stuff about how you're this innocent baby. Joe, they're calling you a corrupt politician.
Nobody-
Take a look
President
at the
Trump, I
laptop
want to
from
stay
hell.
on the issue
Excuse
of
me,
race. We're
take a look
talking
at
about the issue.
laptop from hell.
President Trump, we're
Nobody-
talking about race right now, and I do want to stay on the issue of race. President Trump,
And I
you've
have to
just
respond to that.
Please,
Because look,
very
there
quickly.
are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plant. They have said that this has all the 5 former heads of the CIA, both parties say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia hoax?
And
You
that's
gotta be-
exactly what.
Is this
that's
where you're
exactly
going?
what.
This
was
is
told.
where he's going. The
All right.
laptop is Russia,
Yes.
Russia,
Gentlemen,
Russia.
I want to stay on the issue of race.
You
okay?
have to be kidding. Here we
Mr.
go
President,
again with Russia.
We're going to continue
Boy,
on the
boy.
issue of race. Mr. President,
believe
you've
that one.
described the Black Lives Matter movement as a symbol of hate. You've shared a video of a man chanting white power to millions of your supporters. You've said that Black professional athletes exercising their First Amendment rights should be fired. What do you say to Americans who say that kind of language from a president is contributing to a climate of hate and racial strife?
Well, you have to understand, the first time I ever heard of Black Lives Matter, They were chanting pigs in a blanket, talking about police. Pigs, talking about our police. Pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. I said, that's a horrible thing. And they were marching down the street. And that was my first glimpse of Black Lives Matter. I thought it was a terrible thing. As far as my relationships with all people, I think I have great relationships with all people. I am the least racist person in this room.
Well, what do you say to Americans who are concerned by that rhetoric?
I don't know.
and by
I mean, I
the
don't know what
videos?
to say. I got criminal justice reform done and prison reform and opportunity zones. I took care of Black colleges and universities. I don't know what to say. They can say anything. I mean, they can say anything. It makes me sad because I am the least racist person. I can't even see the audience because it's so dark, but I don't care who's in the audience. I'm the least racist person in this room.
Okay, Vice President Biden, let me
Abraham-
ask you very quickly, and then I have a follow-up question for you.
Abraham Lincoln here is one of the most racist presidents we've had in modern history. He pours fuel on every single racist fire, every single one. Started off his campaign coming down the escalator saying he's going to get rid of those Mexican rapists. He's banned Muslims because they're Muslims. He has moved around and made everything worse across the board. He says about the poor boys, last time we were on stage here, he said, I told them to stand down and stand ready. Come on. This guy is a dog whistle about as big as a foghorn.
President Trump, I'm going to give you 10 seconds to respond, and then I have a
You know,
follow-up question.
he made a reference to Abraham Lincoln. Where did that come in? I mean,
You said
where
you're
did that-
Abraham
No,
Lincoln.
where did that? No.
You said-
I said not since Abraham Lincoln has anybody done what I've done for the Black community.
And I'm
I
saying-
didn't say I'm Abraham Lincoln. I said not since Abraham Lincoln has anybody done what I've done for the Black community. Now, you have done nothing other than the crime bill, which put
Oh, God.
tens of thousands of Black men, mostly in jail.
All right, let me,
And you know
let me,
what?
let me
They
ask
remember
Vice
it
President
because if
Biden
you look
a
at what's
question.
happening with the voting right now,
Let me ask
they
Vice
remember
President
that you
Biden
treated them
about-
very, very badly.
The-
Just
the-
take a look at what's happening out there.
Vice President Biden, let me give you a chance to respond within this context. Crime
Okay.
bills that you supported in the 80s and 90s contributed to the incarceration of tens of thousands of young Black men who had small amounts of drugs in their possession. They are sons, they are brothers, they're fathers, they're uncles, whose families are still to this day, some of them suffering the consequences. So speak to those families. Why should they vote for you?
One of the things is that in the 80s, we passed 100%, all 100 senators voted for it, a bill on drugs and how to deal with drugs. It was a mistake. I've been trying to change the since then, particularly the portion on cocaine. That's why I've been arguing that, in fact, we should not send anyone to jail for a pure drug offense. They should be going into treatment across the board. That's what we should be spending money on. That's why I set up drug courts, which were never funded by our Republican friends. They should not be going to jail for a drug or an alcohol problem. They should be going into treatment. That's what we've been trying to do. That's what I'm going to get done because I think maybe the American people have now seen that, in fact, it was a mistake to pass those laws relating to drug, but they were not in the crime bill.
But
Okay,
why
so-
didn't he get it done? See, it's all talk, no action with these politicians. Why didn't he get it done? That's what I'm going to do when I become president. You were vice president along with Obama as your president, your leader, for 8 years. Why didn't you get it done? You had 8 years to get it done. Now you're saying you're going to get it done because you're all talk and no action, Jim.
We got a
Your
lot of it
response.
done. We released
didn't get
38,000. We
anything
got
done.
38,000 prisoners left from the.
You got
out of-
nothing done.
38,000 prisoners were released from federal prison. There were over 1,000 people who were given clemency. In fact, we're the ones that put in the legislation saying we could look at pattern and practice of police departments and what they were doing, how they were conducting themselves. I could go on, but we began the process. We lost an election. That's why I'm running to win back that election and change his terrible policy.
I
Quick
just
response,
asked,
and then we're
I
gonna
just
move
asked
on
one
to climate
question.
change.
Why didn't you do it in the 8 years, a short time ago? Why didn't you do it? You just said, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. You put tens
Because-
of thousands of mostly Black young men in prison. Now you're saying you're going to undo that. Why didn't you get it done? You had 8 years with Obama. You know why,
Because-
Joe? Because you're all talk and no action.
All right, Vice President
Because
Biden, and
now-
then we're going to move on to the next section.
We had a Republican Congress. That's the answer.
Well,
Okay.
You gotta talk them into it, Joe.
All right.
Sometimes you gotta talk them into it.
We're going to move on to our next section.
Like I
which
did
is
with criminal
climate
justice
change.
reform. I had
Okay.
to talk Democrats into it.
Gentlemen,
You did what we've
we're running out of
already done.
time, so we got to get on to
Okay.
climate change, please. You both have very different visions on climate change. President Trump, you say that environmental regulations have hurt jobs in the energy sector. Vice President Biden, you have said you see addressing climate change as an opportunity to create new jobs. For each of you, how would you both combat climate change and support job growth at the same time? Starting with you, President Trump, you have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
So we have the Trillion Trees program. We have so many different programs. I do love the environment, but what I want is the cleanest, crystal clear water, the cleanest air. We have the best, lowest number in carbon emissions, which is a big standard that I notice Obama goes with all the time. Not Joe. I haven't heard Joe use the term because I'm not sure he knows what it represents or means, but I have heard Obama use it. And we have the best carbon emission numbers that we've had in 35 years under this administration. We are working so well with industry, but here's what we can't do. Look at China, how filthy it is. Look at Russia. Look at India. It's filthy. The air is filthy. The Paris Accord, I took us out because we were going to have to spend trillions of dollars and we were treated very unfairly. When they put us in there, they did us a great disservice. They were going to take away our businesses. I will not sacrifice tens of millions of jobs, thousands and thousands of companies because of the Paris Accord. It was so unfair. China doesn't kick in until 2030. Russia goes back to a low standard, and we kicked in right away. It would have destroyed our businesses. So, you ready? We have done an incredible job environmentally. We have the cleanest air, the cleanest water, and the best carbon emission standards that we've seen in many, many years.
Vice President
And we
Biden.
haven't destroyed our industries.
Vice President Biden, 2 minutes to you, uninterrupted.
Climate change and climate warming, the global warming, is an existential threat to humanity. We have a moral obligation to deal with it. And we're told by all the leading scientists in the world, we don't have much time. We're going to pass the point of no return within the next 8 to 10 years. 4 more years of this man eliminating all the regulations that were put in by us to clean up the climate, to limit the limit of emissions will put us in a position where we're going to be in real trouble. Here's where we have a great opportunity. I was able to get both all the environmental organizations as well as labor, the people worried about jobs, to support my climate plan. Because what it does, it will create millions of new good paying jobs. We're going to invest in, for example, 50,000 charging stations on our highways so that we can own the electric car market of the future. In the meantime, China is doing that. We're going to be in a position where we're going to see to it that we're going to take 4 million existing buildings and 2 million existing homes and retrofit them so they don't leak as much energy, saving hundreds of millions of barrels of oil in the process and creating significant number of jobs. And by the way, the whole idea of what this is all going to do, it's going to create millions of jobs, and it's going to clean the environment. Our health and our jobs are at stake. That's what's happening. And what right now, by the way, Wall Street firms indicated that my plan will in fact create 18.6 million jobs, 7 million more than his. This is from Wall Street. And I'll create $1 trillion more in economic growth than his proposal does. Not on climate, just on the economy.
President Trump, you're
They came out and said very strongly, $6,500 will be taken away from families under his plan, that his plan is an economic disaster. If you look at what he wants to do, if you look at his plan, his
nothing to do with
environmental
climate.
plan, you know who developed it? AOC plus 3. They know nothing about the climate. I mean, she's got a good line of stuff, but she knows nothing about the climate. And they're all hopping through hoops for AOC plus 3. Look, their real plan costs $100 trillion. If we had the best year in the history of our country for 100 years, we would not even come close to a number like that. When he says buildings, they want to take buildings down because they want to make bigger windows into smaller windows. As far as they're concerned, if you had no window, it would be a lovely thing. This is the craziest plan that anybody has ever seen. And this wasn't done by smart people. This wasn't done by anybody. Frankly, I don't even know how it can be good
All right.
politically. They want to spend $100 trillion. That's their real number. He's trying to say it was 6. It's $100 trillion. They want to knock down buildings and build new buildings with little, tiny, small windows. I mean, and many other things.
Okay.
And many other things.
Let me have the Vice President
It
respond,
is
and we're running out of
crazy.
time, and we have a lot
And
more
you'll
questions to
destroy
get
our
to. So
country.
let's hear from the Vice President. I have a number more questions.
I don't know where he comes from. I don't know where he comes up with these numbers.
Queens.
$100 trillion. Give me a break. This plan was, this is plans endorsed by every major environmental group and every labor group, because they know the future lies. The future lies in us being able to breathe, and they know there are good jobs in getting us there. And by the way, the fastest growing industry in America is solar energy and wind. He thinks wind causes cancer, windmills. It's the fastest growing jobs, and they pay good prevailing wages, $45, $50 an hour. We can grow and we can be cleaner if we go the route I'm proposing.
President Trump,
Excuse me.
please
We are
respond, and then I have
We
some
are
follow-ups.
energy independent for the first time. We don't need all of these countries that we had to fight war over because we needed their energy. We are energy independent. I know more about wind than you do. It's extremely expensive, kills all the birds. It's very intermittent. It's got a lot of problems. And they happen to make the windmills in both Germany and China. And the fumes coming up, if you're a believer in carbon emission, the fumes coming up to make these massive windmills is more than anything that we're talking about with natural gas, which is very clean. One other thing.
Find me a
Solar.
scientist said that.
I love solar, but solar doesn't quite have it yet. It's not powerful yet to really run our big, beautiful factories that we need to compete with the world. So
False.
it's all a pipe dream. But you know what we'll do? We're going to have the greatest economy in the world. But if you want to kill the
All right.
economy, get rid of your oil industry. You want, and what about fracking?
All right,
Now-
let me
now we have to ask
let
him
me
about
allow
fracking.
Vice President
I
Biden to
have
respond.
never said I oppose fracking.
You said it on
I-
tape.
I did show the tape, put it on your website.
I'll put it on.
Put it on the website. The fact of the matter is
Sure,
he's
Liz.
flat lying.
Would you
Flat-
rule out banning fracking?
I do rule out banning fracking because the answer, we need other industries to transition to get to ultimately a complete zero emissions by 2025. What I will do with fracking over time is make sure that we can capture the emissions from the fracking, capture the emissions from gas. We can do that, and we can do that by investing money in doing it, but it's the transition to that.
I have one more question in this pod, and then
Excuse me,
we
he
have.
was against fracking. He said it. I will show that to you tomorrow. I
Good.
am against fracking. Until he got the nomination, went to Pennsylvania, then he said, but you know what, Pennsylvania? He'll be against it very soon because his party is totally against it.
Fracking on federal land, I said, no fracking
You
and
said
or
fracking.
oil
You
on
didn't say
federal
Let
land.
me ask this
I
final
did.
question in this section, and then I want to move on to our final section. President Trump, people of color are much more likely to live near oil refineries and chemical plants. In Texas, there are families who worry the plants near them are making them sick. Your administration has rolled back regulations on these kinds of facilities. Why should these families give you another 4 years in office?
The families that we're talking about are employed heavily and they're making a lot of money, more money than they've ever made. If you look at the kind of numbers that we produce for Hispanic, for Black, for Asian, it's 9 times greater, the percentage gain, than it was in 3 years, than it was under 8 years of the 2 of them, to put it nicely. 9 times more. Now, somebody lives, I have not heard the numbers or the statistics that you're saying, but they're making a tremendous amount of money. economically. We saved it. And I saved it again a number of months ago when oil was crashing because of the pandemic. We
Okay.
saved it. We got, say what you want about relationship, we got Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Russia to cut back way back. We saved our oil industry, and now it's very vibrant again.
All
And
right.
everybody has very inexpensive gasoline. Remember
Vice
that.
President Biden, your response, and then we're going to have a final question for both of you.
My response is that those people live on what they call fence lines. He doesn't understand this. They live near chemical plants that in fact pollute, chemical plants and oil plants and refineries that pollute. I used to live near that when I was growing up in Claymont, Delaware. And all the more oil refineries in Marcus Hook and the Delaware River than there is any place, including in Houston at the time. When my mom get in the car and when there was first frost to drive me to school, turning the windshield wiper, there'd be oil slick in the window. That's why so many people in my state were dying and getting cancer. The fact is those frontline communities, it doesn't matter what you're paying them, it matters how you keep them safe. What do? And you impose restrictions on the pollutions the pollutants coming out of those fence line communities.
Okay, I have one final
Would
question.
he close
It
down
falls-
the oil industry?
It falls.
Would you close
it
down the
falls-
oil
By the way, I
industry?
would transition from the oil industry, yes. I
Oh,
will
that's
transition.
a big statement.
It is a big statement
That's a big
because
statement.
I would stop
Why would you do that?
because the oil industry pollutes significantly.
I see.
Here's the deal, but you
That's a
can't
big
do that.
statement.
Well, if you let me finish the statement, because it has to be replaced by renewable energy over time. And I'd stop giving to the oil industry, I'd stop giving them federal subsidies. He won't give federal subsidies to the gas, excuse me, to solar and wind.
Yeah.
Why are we giving it to oil industry?
We actually do
All
give
right.
it to solar and wind.
We
And
have
that's
one
maybe the
final
biggest
question.
statement in terms of business. That's the biggest statement.
Okay,
Because
we have
basically
one
what he's
final
saying
question,
is he is
Mr.
going to
President.
destroy the oil industry. Will you remember that, Texas? Will you
Okay.
remember that, Pennsylvania, Oklahoma?
Vice President Biden, let me give you 10 seconds to respond, and then I
Ohio.
have to get to the final question. Vice President Biden.
He takes everything out of context, but the point is, look, we have to move toward a net zero emissions. The first place to do that by the year 2035 is in energy production, by 2050 totally.
All right, one
Is he gonna
final
get
question
China to
both
do
of
it?
you. No, we're finished with
Is
this.
he
We have
going to get
move on
China
to
to
our
do it?
final question. We
No,
have to
I'm
move on
going to
to our final
rejoin Paris
question.
Accord and make
Oh.
China abide by what they agreed to.
All
That'll
right, this
cost you
is
$1
about
trillion.
leadership, gentlemen. And this first question does go to you, President Trump. Imagine this is your inauguration day. What will you say in your address to Americans who did not vote for you? You'll each have 1 minute, starting with you, Mr.
We have to make a country totally successful as it was prior to the plague coming in from China. Now we're rebuilding it and we're doing record numbers, 11.4 million jobs in a short period of time, et cetera. But I will tell you, go back. Before the plague came in, just before, I was getting calls from people that were not normally people that would call me. They wanted to get together. We had the best Black unemployment numbers in the history of our country. Hispanic, women, Asian, people with diplomas, with no diplomas, MIT graduates, #1 in the class. Everybody had the best numbers. And you know what? The other side wanted to get together. They wanted to unify. Success is going to bring us together. We are on the road to success, but I'm cutting taxes and he wants to raise everybody's taxes and he wants to put new regulations on everything. He will kill it. If he gets in, you will have a depression, the likes of which you've never seen. Your 401ks will go to hell and it'll be a very, very sad day for this country.
All right. Vice President Biden, same question to you. What will you say during your inaugural address to Americans who did not vote for you?
I will say, I'm an American president. I represent all of you, whether you voted for me or against me. And I'm going to make sure that you're represented. I'm going to give you hope. We're going to move. We're going to choose science over fiction. We're going to choose hope over fear. We're going to choose to move forward because we have enormous opportunities to make things better. We can grow this economy. We can deal with the systemic racism. And at the same time, we can make sure that our economy is being run and moved and motivated by clean energy, creating millions of new jobs. And that's the fact. That's what we're going to do. And I'm going to say, as I said at the beginning, what is on the ballot here is the character of this country: decency, honor, respect, treating people with dignity, making sure that everyone has an even chance. And I'm going to make sure you get that. You haven't been getting it the last 4 years.
All right. I want to thank you both for a very robust hour and a half, a fantastic debate. Really appreciate it. President Trump, former Vice President Joe Biden, thank you to Belmont University for hosting us tonight. And most importantly, thank you to those watching tonight. Election Day is November 3rd. Don't forget to vote. Thank you, everyone, and have a great night.
Thank you.
All right. I think that that was a very interesting debate, if I say so myself. I think Trump did a really good job in keeping his posture and keeping his poise. He didn't really get out of character like he did the first debate. I thought Biden was a little bit vibrant, more so than he needed to be. And so I'm looking at all of this, and two things that I really take issue with is this ACA, which is Obamacare. They had 8 years to repeal and replace like they said they would, and they never did it. Okay, big failure on their half. And two, they don't, the people who are opposing it don't understand it. Socialism, Marxism, we've heard these terms before. And so the thing about the ACA is that it does cover pre-existing conditions. Now in Massachusetts, we were the first ones to have this sort of Massachusetts plan go out, and you do have multiple plans. So you have 5 plans. You have platinum, gold, platinum, gold, silver, bronze, and I think there's like another alternative option. I think if you want to bring a partial plan or something like that. But
copper.
Overall, I don't think it's copper. Yeah, but overall, that's the extent of the plan, and you can buy in on the plan. The only problem was that the website was not built to take on that many people coming into it, so that's what kept making it crash and things like that. Same thing with ACA, that the website was crashing and whatnot. I think the whole thing is just blown out of proportion. You need a national healthcare plan in order to reduce the amount of visits to the ER, because that's what people were using the ER for, was their doctor. And so that's where the confusion is coming in. And a lot of people on the right, they just want to get rid of it because it has to do with Obama more so than anything else. His face is on that, and they have no interest in having that sort of plan in place, that initiative in place. And so they want to repeal and replace it, but they don't even know if they had to do it from scratch, they wouldn't be able to do it. At least not in the time frame that given that they had 8 years to do it, and they didn't come up with anything, came up with goose eggs. Number two, the race question, right? This sort of idea of Black relations and whatnot. Trump toasts these, numbers about Black unemployment being low. Yeah, because you carry the momentum in the inertia from 2015. Not
the previous administration. Like, I don't understand why you don't understand that.
But he's using. Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead. Finish up. He's using it as a device. But go ahead, Mike. Finish up. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so that's really the only thing he's trying to ride on. And he gave money to HBCUs. He did this and did that. It was all Democratic initiatives, right? And so I don't know, man. I feel like Trump came with a one-shot Derringer. I think he bust off already, and now he has nothing else left. And so I don't know. I just think that if this is going to be the determining factor, I don't see him going into November.
Right. Very good breakdown, Mike. Thought that was very good. I definitely agree a great deal with what Mike said. I would say, as far as this debate was concerned, it was a pretty good one. It was a pretty good one. I thought Trump held his poise. I thought he tried to do the best he could under the conditions, and I think actually he did okay. He came in there with the black piece, you know, trying to bang away at Biden, especially talking about the 1994 crime bill, of which Biden did have to come up and say this was a mistake. We made some errors. So he did have to say that, but yet at the same time, Trump is the same guy, and I'm a New Yorker, so I was there with the Central Park Five. I was definitely there with a lot of the racist things that he was pushing and talking about, you know. But yet, you know, people kind of gave him a little bit of a pass at that time. But he was no giant friend of black people and did speak against them. So I never looked at Trump as a giant friend of black people and of the black race, you know, period. Most white guys really aren't. So, and would I put Biden into that kind of mix to some degree as well? So I don't really give huge points to either guy on that side. But I thought Biden on the whole, Biden himself, I thought he was poised. He had good energy. I thought he was pretty sharp. I thought Trump did the best he could to try to tear him out, and he was not really able to achieve it. So I thought that Biden was on his game in that respect, as far as being an old man and being tottering and a doddering old dude. That I did not see tonight. I didn't see that tonight. I didn't see that at all. So I felt as though, as I thought, both did a fairly decent job. I thought certainly the decorum was better. I do not believe that this moves the needle significantly in anyone else's directions per se. I did think they both landed a little bit here and there, but I generally think that this was a fairly close debate. Lot more civil, and I don't think any real knockout punches were done. I think from the Biden perspective, he did exactly what he needed to do to come in here tonight. I think Trump came in as the president trying to push the envelope and score some real heavy blows to really try to put Biden on his backside, and I didn't see that tonight. I didn't see that. So it was a very interesting debate. But as I said, the election is already in place. It's already going on, and I don't believe that this debate here moves the needle heavy in any direction, in anyone's real direction at this point. That's what I would have to say about that.
Well, so you were sharing your screen. Were you trying to show us something, or?
Yeah,
Me, no.
Like they didn't believe how cheap the houses were in Mississippi, so I was just showing them different cities where I'm from. That's around where I lived at. About the houses in that area.
I know about that too. $80,000-$90,000 for a house, if that.
No, I mean, but I showed some for like $40,000-$50,000, and they're not telling you about the acres that the shit's sitting on either.
Yep.
Yeah. The South, if you want to buy a real nice house, you got $100,000 cash, you can be in a mini mansion in Tuscaloosa. So
yeah. So for my idea debate, I think it was pretty much a statistical tie between both of them. I was shocked that Trump got out of hand for a little bit, but once they started muting his mic, he kind of got back into place. But at the end of the day, this was not going to. Who the fuck is Zoom user? I mean, like once you start talking crazy, get him out of here. All right. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's a statistical debate. The type of performance that Trump needed to put on.
This is retarded.
Is there somebody in here?
This is dumb.
Yeah. So, what we're saying here is that, at the end of the day, Trump needed to come in with like an overwhelming over right hand cross. He couldn't do that in this debate. Not this style of debate when they knew what was going on, right? There was no way in the hell he would be able to win the debate in the style that he would be able to turn these poll numbers around.
Agreed.
I think them cutting mics actually helped Trump. Because if he would have gone right back to what he was doing last debate, and that killed him last debate.
I mean, he kind of got up there for a little while until they started cutting the mics and shit, and then he kind of quieted down. I mean, he kind of Mike Pence his way through the debate, but at the end
Yeah,
of the
because
day,
because but like you said, that calmed him down. See, if they didn't do that, he would have kept going, and see, he would have had that same debate performance as last time.
But homegirl,
Poll numbers.
homegirl was on that motherfucker she was on that button tough. She was on that button tough, man. She was on that shit like the same Valentine's Day massacre, bro. She put her fingers on the trigger, and that was it. She was firing. She shut him down quick. So I have to give the moderator a credit for kind of the job she did. I think she handled and moderated things fairly well and asked some fairly decent questions. But I do think there was a lot more decorum than the last time around. Now, whether this is going to be a game changer for the president, I kind of don't think so. Is this going to be a super game changer for Biden? I don't think so. I think he came in, held his ground, and did what he did. The president put his best foot forward. Did what he did. The COVID piece is a tough one. That's the issue. The president, I didn't feel he handled the COVID issue well. He tried to get around it, but I feel the COVID piece is a bitch. It's a tough titty to suck. He had a tough time getting around it. He still tried to get around it and didn't come up with a real plan. I didn't hear a plan for getting out of this except we got to open up. We got to open up. We got to open up. What's the plan? You got Governor Christie and these guys sitting there saying we ain't wearing no masks. I was in the ICU for 7 days. I was torn out the frame. Don't listen to no dumb shit. Be smart about what's going on here. I didn't hear the president push these kinds of things, and I think that's he's very remiss there. Very remiss. He does not have an answer for COVID. Doesn't have an answer for it, and that's what the presidency is hinging on. He doesn't have an answer for the COVID question. He doesn't have an answer for it. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I was gonna add to. I think the other thing that's gonna continue to help Biden, he touched on it a little bit in the debates, but would like to see him touch on it more. The number of institutions and people who are coming out endorsing him, it's just piling on at this point. You got institutions that don't even normally endorse candidates, like the New England Journal of Medicine, generals who've come out and endorsed them. You got Republicans running for him. It's just the more and more of those people just coming out, it puts these voters who are on the fence, who are you consider normal mainstream voters, it just pushes them in this direction. I mean, sure, you got some knuckleheads who that doesn't mean anything to them, but to the average American, when you start seeing all those people come out behind you, it's pretty damning.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I think that's very true. It's good, that's a tough one. Nobody did talk about that, but that's kind of what's going on in the campaign. I just think you have to answer the biggest issue that's going on right now in the 21st century, and this is COVID. You have to have some kind of cogent answer for that. I didn't really hear one. I don't know if I'm asking you guys. Did any of you guys hear an answer to that one?
No, I mean, and if it wasn't 200,000 people dead, and he's trying to make the actual H1N1 to be a lesser virus, but there was a better response to a lesser virus that beats out a horrible response to a major virus. And I don't know why he keep thinking that that's a good deal for him to actually present it like that. And it's like, dude, you gotta understand that you can't possibly think that you've done a good job on COVID. Not with that, not with the actual the numbers, not with the actual people who died, not with the actual not listening to the medical dude, threatening to fire him in the last 2 weeks of your election when he has a higher approval rating than you. I don't understand it, man.
Yeah, I was gonna add too. If I was Biden, I would even
Okay. I want to make a
instead
clear
of
point. Wait. I want to make a clear
okay.
point. Any Ice Cube defender who did not cover the fucking debates, go fuck yourself. The reason why you're not covering the fucking debates is because you're not in politics. You're trying to clout chase off the simple fact that most black people don't know what the fuck they talking about when it comes to politics. So you go to any fucking Shinebone who fucking promises a whole bunch of shit that he cannot deliver. So you make it everybody else's problem because they can't deliver it. I'm talking all you motherfuckers on TPOT tonight. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna quickly add on Trump.
Can you speak up a little bit on Renaissance? Your mic seems to be a little low.
No, I was gonna add too. Is that better?
A little bit. It sounds like you're on the water a little bit, but go ahead.
Okay, let me. I'll try to change my mic. But what I was gonna quickly say was, if I was Biden, I would have even mentioned Trump saying that, 200,000 people dead. It is what it is. I would have brought that quote back up to hit him on that as well too, because that's pretty bad.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, Mike, you have anything to say on that? I don't know if Mike's still here.
He's still here, I think. He's still here.
I don't know if, he may not be on his mic anyway. All right.
I'm gonna change.
Yeah, but at the end, but at the end of the day, you have to realize that you can't be listening to Shinebone fucking attorneys or motherfuckers who got PhDs and shit who don't understand the actual issue when they claim they care about black men and the outcome of black boys, but somehow they don't realize why the fuck you should not be represented by a guy who made music making money off of this fucking situation. It's like, look, how come they didn't cover the debate? How come they didn't cover it? Because it doesn't fit into the actual narrative. These dudes are actually making money, and they have 5,000 views what's on their channel, but they go on the Proper Thought, they have 30 motherfuckers listening. Can you explain it? I can't. So what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, this stuff is important. All of it's important. You cannot wait on a reformed Pookie, the Pookie Tainers, the boardroom Pookie, to come out here and defend the actual shit that needs to go on in society and life. If it was important to them, they would have been covering this shit right here the whole time if they cared about the outcome of black men. But see,
Hey,
they don't know how
is
to
this
do
better
that.
than Nagone?
Yeah, man. Yeah. You sound real clear now, fam.
Okay, great.
Yeah, you sound real clear. Go ahead, man. Go ahead, man. Break it down.
No, I agree with MOT. I don't want to go back too far with the Ice Cube thing, but it's just I don't know. I'm sure MOT, this doesn't fly in your space. Same thing with you, Nagone. You can't say guys really care about something or they're taking something serious when they get up there and it's clear that they haven't studied or prepared. You can't just get a gold star for effort in the real world. You got to do your work behind it, especially when you're trying to lead something and you've got so much riding on the line as far as what you're trying to deliver to people. You got to dot your T's and I's and be on top of this stuff if you're going to be serious about it, especially if you're someone from the outside. And then, like I said, not even using the experts around you and the people that have those channels that go deep into the Republican Party, not even utilizing those people, but, going to Trump. It's just it should be obvious at this point that a lot of these guys are secretly supporting Trump and just don't want to come out and say it because they don't want the backlash.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. You should be out there knowing your business. Now, as far as brother Xavier Teapot, that's my dog. I know we get up in there, but that's my boy. So I'm not gonna be, trashing him and all that. Sorry, I'm gonna stick up for Xavier. Fuck it. All right. Well, he's got his channel. He's running this thing. Let him do his thing. We don't need to be nailing him. If he wants to have people on and people want to have a conversation, it's not going, and it's that's problematic. But I ain't dogging Brother X. Fuck that.
No, it's not Brother X. It's guests.
All right.
And people in the chat.
All right. Yeah. Okay. That's part of the issue. What RM just said was right on the money. A lot of these guys coming in haven't studied. They haven't done any homework. they don't understand certain things. You have people out here call themselves conservatives and don't even know what the conservative party principles really are. You don't even know it, but they're jumping out here saying this kind of stuff. Yeah, I've seen a lot of craziness going on, and and some of it's gotten traction, and that's why I said I was talking to one of these guys. He started screaming, acting crazy. I said, nah, man. Then I got angry. I said, nope, I'm done. I can't. No, man. Nah, I can't be talking to guys who just don't have certain base in the game. So I'll leave that alone. But as far as us, sitting here talking about politics, if people want to talk politics and talk cogently about it, we'll talk about it. If you want to come over here and do that, that's fine. If you want to go elsewhere and other guys having different conversations and they don't want to talk cogently, fair enough. Okay, you come in here and you start talking whack shit, we're gonna deal with that. So it is what it is. I do suggest people should at least get somewhat knowledgeable, a little bit of politics, because it's going to affect you greatly. Your healthcare is at risk. Okay, your jobs and stuff are at risk. Okay, government's giving people money to keep them going or whatever, and all this kind of stuff just to keep the economy up and all that. This shit is critical. It's central to your game. It's central to you. And that's why Biden was like, yo, listen, man, you're the president. You should be having this shit. You should have this shit cracking right now. But you don't. And the president is backing up on that a little bit, trying to blame it on the Congress. He's got to get this thing cracking too. The buck stops here, baby. That's a big part of this game. So we have to sit down and talk about that and get real about politics. The blackmail piece, you see, they're putting that shit on the table. Trump jumping on every gets.
Yeah. I mean, you got to be able to separate as a group and form your own shit.
We talk about this all the time, MOT, but I'm saying people have to start to think a certain way about this game. This is affecting everything you do, and a lot of people are trying to say it doesn't, and they're wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And, you got to sit down and really start to think about this, more cogently, and that's what we're trying to do. Is it an easy pull? No, but we still got to do it because this is something that we should be doing as black men. You know what I'm saying? I'm proud of most of the brothers that I've run into here in this manosphere. I can't lie, man. Even some of these guys who kind of act like knuckleheads, these are hard-working dudes. So I respect every brother that's up in here working hard, and I know it ain't easy for all of us. So so I have to say I fucks with you. I got loves for you. Even when I get tired at some cats, still brothers out here pushing it hard. And we're heroes. I ain't gonna fucking lie. So let's get smart. Let's learn a lot more about this politics. Let's have these conversations. Let's get brighter because this shit is affecting your life every day. Every day. That's all I gotta say about that. Go ahead, RM. You guys. Yeah,
no, I was gonna quickly add to one thing that came up in the debate with the crime bill. Going back to them being conservatives, I always find it interesting in this space that traditionally you'll hear conservatives say, and even with some of these police brutality cases, you'll hear with them say, well, he should have complied, don't break the law, this and that. You start bringing up that crime bill, they go hard about that, and you don't hear that same rhetoric. And that popped in my head. I'm like, I don't hear guys saying don't break the law on that one. They blame Biden, so they kind of moved the goalpost on that.
Yeah, but here's the thing on the crime bill. You got most of these shines in this space who brag about doing the shit that the crime bill was meant to stop. They get no criticism. None. They brag on the fact that they sold the shit back in the day. And then they come to the actual space and complain about the crime bill that clean these motherfuckers off the streets. So I don't get them complaining about the crime bill. The crime bill was to make sure that the murder rate wasn't as high as it was. So it's like, how is it you have people within this space who want to be represented by people who made music off of the fact of what was going on within those communities? And the same people are trying to protect the guy who made music about those actual things should be protected from criticism, from getting involved in a political process that he does not understand. I don't understand it.
Yeah, no, the only thing you can really argue on the crime bill is that, unfortunately, it swept some people who had some addiction issues up in that kind of in a wide.
That's what I have a problem with. That's the only thing I have a problem with.
But the rest of it is kind of like, hey, they were going after guys who were committing crimes, violent crimes, dealers, and all that. And like we said, some people who just really needed some rehab got swept up in that, and that's the downside.
The crime bill was a fucking disaster. 90% of the people that got fucking arrested in the crime bill were fucking drug fucking users, single drug users, and not fucking dealers and violent criminals. Less than 10% of the guys that they swept up in these jails were fucking violent criminals. That's the fucking problem. Those are the stats. We cannot get around that shit. That shit was horrifying. It fucked us in the ass. I'm sorry to say it like that, but that's exactly what happened. So Joe Biden, he had to back up off it. He had to sit down and say, I fucked up. Okay. Anybody who signed on to it, they must repent on that bullshit. That shit was bullshit. All right. And it made a lot of people a lot of money in jail. A lot of fucking brothers we was cannon fodder being thrown up in that system on small drug crimes. That
the messed up part is there are very few people who didn't endorse it.
No. A lot of people, because there was a lot of money behind this drug bill. I mean, behind this crime bill, because I call it the war on drugs. There's a lot of money behind it, a lot of funding, a lot of dollars went behind this shit. So the more funding, more money you threw at it, the more activity you got. So that's what they did, and you were the fucking were the fodder for this, the substrate for this fucking system to run off. Bullshit. All right, it's fucking bullshit. That just got to be fucking cut back to the fat meat. All right, Obama and them started. All right, they damn sure did. All right, this this joker in here right now said he did a little something. He did a little something with some factors of prison reform, which freed up a lot of people too, just not black folks. But the crime bill was very bad. It was very bad, and we had to look, and we really had to look at that for what is it's a dark mark on our history. It's a dark fucking mark. Okay. Many black Congress people signed on to it as well. It was bad, and a lot of people sitting back here still kind of hiding their heads a little bit, but it was bad. We shouldn't have supported it. We had the crack epidemic that got hyped up a lot more than it should have been, and we permitted these guys to come in here and tear us out the frame. That was something that was started literally from the Nixon administration. And then it just got deeper and thicker and deeper. And by the 90s, Nixon administration, we had just about 450,000 people in jail. Okay, after the '94 crime bill came out, at the end of Clinton's time, we had 2 million in fucking jail. For less than 500,000 to 2 million, it's fucking crazy. It's crazy. And and the majority of them were black people. Were us.
I agree that the crime bill is bad. However, when you got people who brag about how they was selling all this shit back in the day, and they come out here claiming that they're former ex-pimps and dude who used to sell all this shit back in the day, and how we don't have the experience that other people have because we just didn't do that shit. Nah, man. Like, you don't come here and brag on the shit that destroyed the actual community and then try to take credit for it because you had access to some women because you did that stupid ass shit. I don't want to hear that.
Totally agree.
Fucking traitors.
Totally agree. Ain't no way in hell I would even begin to disagree with that. Not for a millisecond. But what bothers me more so, that Shine who ran around and made songs and driving cars around and talking about his drug dealing days and I'm a neighborhood drug dealer and all this bullshit. Okay, fuck all that. Okay. The guys that I really feel bad about are the smaller people. The guys who had 2 or 3 joints in Mississippi with this whole crime bill.
Sure.
Jail for 15, 20 years. This
crazy shit.
Okay, this kind of crazy.
They weigh weed like crack cocaine in Mississippi, and they'll lock your ass up for 30 years. 85% of the time, you got to do. That shit I don't agree with.
All across the South in these fucking red states.
But see, that came from I'm sure you guys remember Len Bias, the basketball player.
Of course I remember Len.
Yeah. His death was one of the things that sparked the rise of mandatory minimums. That's what drove the momentum with that.
But remember, you see, Len Bias was just one, but they didn't talk about all the white dudes, okay, and all them cats running around here who were fucking sucking up more fucking horse.
Absolutely.
More
You're
fucking
right.
no candy man and fucking than Pablo. It was fucking crazy.
Yeah, they just people just don't realize that he was one of the catalysts for it. That that kind of got the ball rolling, and then you got Republicans and Democrats who jumped on board
and they pointed it against us.
Yep.
And then they took stuff like crack, smaller amounts, gave you 25 years, and the gray boys were fucking walking off for 5 years for a fucking kilo. What kind of sense did that make? I mean, the shit was ill. It was ill.
I mean, they went in that for the actual charge, but they got to plead down from the 5 years. Nobody got to plead down from the 20 to 25 years in Mississippi.
That's exactly correct. So and that's why when Holder and them came in there with Obama, they were like, nah, we gonna change up some of this shit. This shit up in here is fucking whack. And that's what that's what they did. So Obama and them came in there and they made some significant changes in that regard. I watched this thing very closely. So I sat here and I saw just how this crime bill and how they hit this shit was worse or just as bad as the welfare program of the 60s with the man out of the house rule. This was as bad. It was
but at the end of the day, if you made music during this time period and you turn your life around, no one else got to turn their life around after they try emulating this shit. This dude who get the goddamn praise for even trying to deliver on some shit that he could not possibly know how to deliver.
Yeah,
it's the Nipsey Hussle bullshit all over again.
Yeah, man.
It's like, how are we giving the dude credit when you got people who work on the ground every day who don't even get a voice? Period.
Death threats, to be honest with you. Some of them.
Yeah. I mean, agreed, man. Agreed. You ain't ever gonna hear me disagree with that. I'm just saying. I saw just that crime bill set a generation back. Set us back a generation. That's how fucked up that shit was, and they knew it. These guys they gotta apologize for that shit. They and make amends. That's damn near.
I'm not sure how you can make amends at this point in time. Man, the damage is already done. Kids have already been born. I'm not even sure. I mean, unless you're talking about putting a community college for free in these communities where kids go to it. I don't see how you could be able to correct some shit that's this bad.
No, this shit was bad. I would think, just easier access for business. I think, the marijuana, they call the dispensaries and so forth, certain number of should just go to black people. Just go to black people who have the business capability of doing it and have them come in at a much lesser rate than everyone else and build their businesses that way, because they put so many people in jail over weed. It wasn't even over heroin or cocaine, whatever. It was over fucking weed. And you all throughout the South, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, all over, even Florida and these fucking places, Texas, they were grabbing brothers and just throwing them in jail for unbelievable amounts of time for small amounts of fucking weed. Small amounts. See, if it was these violent crimes and it was these horrific, low riding drug dealers, man, with the fucking Mac 10 underneath their fucking feet, and spraying up the whole block and taking everybody else. See, we down with all, but that's not what was going on. That was hyped as to what was happening. But that's not what was going on. That's not what was happening. And they would grab poor black people and throw them in jail.
I wanted to quickly ask MOT, as a business owner, have you heard anything that in Biden, as far as his administration, that concerns you as from a business standpoint?
No,
Trump touts himself as this great businessman. So I was just
Trump is not a great businessman.
No,
he's not. And at the end of the day, this is why I took the additional level of taking it up to the track record of tax returns. I'll show you my tax returns in a fucking heartbeat. I want to see these motherfuckers out here who talking high value man shit. Let's see what these tax returns are about. Sitting in the couch in the fucking living room or in your dungeon talking about how much of a high value man you are, trying to fucking get these younger dudes off into the fucking laps of these very older people who don't need additional chances and shots. And these people get no criticism within the environment. And these are the same people who support Nipsey Hussle, the same motherfuckers who ain't got no problem with no goddamn hustle, and the same motherfuckers who support Ice Cube in his failed attempt at getting some bullshit passed when he's not a politician. These are the same group of people, the same group of individuals all the way around. Especially when you don't know shit about the progress process, you go all the way to the front and you get used and abused, man. At the
Yeah.
end of the day, there's a proper way of this shit goes. You got to
Yeah.
have the proper money. You got to have the proper boots on the ground. You got to have a proper voting record.
And you have to have the proper
All your
information. And
Yes, the proper information, no matter whether you're independent on the conservative side or the liberal side.
Yeah.
You gotta have all three of those things in place and
Yeah.
make sure that fucking shit works. Because if
Yeah.
you don't, and you bring these shine defenders in here at the end of the day who take full advantage of the political ignorance of black people, you'll get the same shit you got right now.
Yeah.
Same shit.
Yeah,
At
I
the end
wanted
of the day, man, we need to move this conversation forward beyond this bullshit.
Yeah, I wanted to quickly shout out Jack Nickelback in the chat. He said Trump makes money on the image that he makes money. Exactly.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah.
That's-
You know, that's how he came back. That's how he came back. This is why he monetized his name being on the side of these buildings and shit.
That's right.
Because he wasn't producing anything as an actual person. This is why I keep saying the track record. Because black people respect the idea of money, not actual money. So when you talking to somebody who have an improper framework working inside their head, you can't talk to them about actual tangible issues because they don't respect tangibles. They respect intentions. They want to benefit without work on the ground, right? That's the way this shit is set up. So what you have to recognize is these people are playing you for a fool based on the things that they know you already believe in before you even open your mouth, right? So how many of these dudes who supports Ice Cube talking about separating fully from the system and creating their own group of power? These people couldn't even cover the debate tonight. Couldn't cover it. Couldn't cover it. Couldn't find it within themselves to cover the debate. You want to know why? It exposed the track record. That you don't know what the hell you're talking about and you're selling a narrative. It's fucking bullshit. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing.
That's hot lava right there, fam. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, man.
You up here, Hammer?
What's that?
Nah, Hammer's
What's going
in
on,
here.
man? What's going
Yeah,
on,
I'm here,
Hammer?
man. Just I've just been, we're waiting for you guys to give your thoughts out. But I just wanted to come and give my perspective on things. And what I gotta say is this, right? One thing I've noticed during this election cycle is that the manosphere is very much divided. Because on one hand, you have fantastic.
The manosphere is not divided.
I'm talking about the black manosphere. In terms of between Joe Biden.
Hammer, I'm gonna tell you, the black manosphere is fine. The griftosphere is divided. The dudes who are here out there, the clout chase and grift off the shit that's happening within this space, they're divided. Black male building their own power and moving forward, that's not up for question. There is nobody here who's part of the actual black manosphere who's trying to represent WAP tech support. So there's nothing wrong with the manosphere. There's a lot wrong with the griftosphere because the griftosphere has to be on different fronts. So there's nothing wrong with the manosphere. Nothing wrong at all.
But the thing is, the griftosphere is starting to gain more and more traction. And what we're seeing is that, hey
man, the griftosphere gained traction because they concentrated on the needs of women, not black men. That makes them not part of the manosphere. Don't you get that?
Yeah. But see, one thing.
Yeah. If you change your name every 2 months to something else, that means you're changing your shit up, right? You're not here for the manosphere shit. I haven't changed my name.
Yeah,
I haven't changed what the fuck I talk about.
That's true.
I'm black male first all the fucking time. I have not changed anything that I fucking talked about. The only motherfuckers here who change what the fuck they talk about is because they trying to add some shit to their fucking brand to gain part of another man's shine. That's not what the fuck I'm here for. I'm here for the original mission. I can stay on mission, on point, and on fucking task because I can't be fucking bought.
That's true.
That's the
But
thing. If you see a lot of people changing up what the fuck they do, the reason why they're changing up what the fuck they do is because they're not here for the original mission. That has nothing to do with the Manosphere. This has everything to do with why the fuck they came here, to be part of the Manosphere. So you can't blame the Manosphere for that. The Manosphere is a concept for black men making better decisions. The better decision making process had nothing to do with concentrate on the needs of WAP. That's what other motherfuckers started to do. That has never been a part of the Manosphere shit. Trying to figure out high value man, that's never been a part of the Manosphere shit.
that's true.
Never been a part of it.
From day one, that was never a factor. That was
Never been a factor of it. So what you're seeing is hearts, click, views, and super chats, not based on the original mission. Like a lot of people came to be a part of the original mission of the Manosphere to destroy it for WAP, on the behalf of WAP. That's what you're seeing. That's not like the real dudes who are here with the mission of the Manosphere. We never bragged on the power of women. We never called ourselves select men or any of this other shit, bragging on WAP's power within the fucking environment. That's not what the Manosphere has ever fucking done.
Mm-hmm.
Dudes who are part of the Manosphere never bragged on the ability of a person to clout chase and get money within the environment by any means necessary because they felt out of their real fucking life. That's not what the Manosphere was about. Never was. So the shit that you're hearing is not Manosphere content. What you're hearing is Griftosphere content. It ain't got shit to do with the original fucking mission. The original mission. You know what you signed up for when you came here. And we also know what the fuck you turned it into once your ass got here. A lot of these motherfuckers turned around and tried to do some different shit. But you have to realize, man, the Manosphere is still a fucking concept that needs to be heard. There's a lot of people who are surrounded by motherfuckers in the Griftosphere. As a normal person, they may run into a person like me after they done fucked their shit up. The Manosphere is to make sure they don't fuck their shit up. There is the younger generation who's already boots on the ground practicing the shit we're talking about right now.
That's true.
It's the older motherfuckers who want a chance at WAP. That ain't got shit to do with the Manosphere. That's what these motherfuckers turned into after the fucking COVID-19 shit happened. Once you realize you ain't got no future fucking prospects about bragging on how much pussy you get in a fucking black male space, right? That's what the fuck that's about. So when you hear all the motherfuckers changing names and doing all this dumb shit, they are not part of the mission anymore. And at some point, you gotta point out the simple fact that your ass ain't on target any fucking more, right? So at the end of the fucking day, the Manosphere has went nowhere. It's people who wanted to attach themselves to the fucking Manosphere and wanted to do some other shit with it. It's what you're seeing. There's nothing wrong with the Manosphere. Nothing. Never has been. When I was part of the fucking church as the fundamentalist fucking Christian, there was nothing wrong with the church before they brought all these people in who wanted to bring the money into the fucking church. Had nothing to do with the original mission of the church. Saving souls, make sure lives are great and all that kind of shit. So when they brought all these shines in here to boost the numbers up on some bullshit, that had nothing to do with the original members, the mission of the church. It's the same with every organization. The moment you bring people who cannot survive without fuckery into any fucking situation, they destroy the entire concept to which they came into the space to fucking represent.
Yep.
Every time.
Lower the standards and operate and let people in who don't operate on principle. That'll
That's
get you
right.
every time.
That's
Yep.
right. That's why you hear these dumb motherfuckers talking about, oh man, I ain't got no problem with a motherfucker respecting this hustle. Okay, let's say if I tried to sell your niece into the fucking streets. Okay, let's start talking about where the fucking actual shit ends, right? But see, you can't have these type of conversations around these dumb motherfuckers around here, right? I'm not with this shit. I never been with them motherfuckers. I never will be. They tried to come for the thick and black man shit. They came for the SYSBM shit, and now they're supporting Cube. And these are the same motherfuckers who is licking the asshole of fucking Nipsey Hussle after he fucking died. These are not your fucking friends. And tomorrow, anything that WAP wants defended, the motherfuckers will defend that too. They ain't on your fucking side, pal.
Oh,
They ain't on
fuck.
your side. They ain't on your fucking side, man. I can't stand these motherfuckers.
Real deal, Holyfield. Real deal.
Nah, you're right. That's why every conversation on politics too goes back to women.
That's true.
Every last when you push these dudes on policy, somehow it finds its way back to women.
So
Because
Big Nick, did you hear that?
Because that's why they're basically here. Most of these guys got torn out the frame on child support. That's what you see a lot, and I know a lot of guys on child support. I even saw my own brother, man. They tried to. This is his ex girl. She tried to. Oh my God! His ex wife tried to tear him out of the frame, and she was terrible. I mean, sure. I don't want to get into it, but yeah, you know, a lot of these brothers here are dealing with that shit, and they're mad. And they call themselves conservatives and all that. And at the end of the day, they're mad at this bitch that tore them out. Now, I understand it. Oh, I understand that. Please, it's not like I don't, because I do. But the question of it is here's a system that can literally pull you into a courtroom, and she can pull you into a courtroom and literally light your fucking tits up. All right. So at the end of the day, how do you stop this? How do you deal with this type of situation? You know, and now it's not so much dealing with her, but it's about dealing with the system, and also really dealing with these brothers getting their minds right and avoiding dealing with this kind of situation and really getting your mind right out here. And that's a tough thing. And you know, a lot of guys have tried in a few different ways, and some of these cats didn't like what they were hearing. They didn't like what they were hearing, man. They did not like what they were hearing as to what some of the options were. And, you know, they went some different directions. But these guys that constantly are bringing up women and saying that that's the bottom line issue, they've missed the boat, and they're not serious about really talking about real, you know, development of brothers. They're not really thinking about that. They're not really about that.
Not at all. I mean,
they're not about that life.
You got a super chat, MOT.
Yeah, I see it. Good time, Ken. Thanks for the $5 super chat. Let's use the system. It's there, but we need to separate ourselves from these VW. Ice Cube didn't see DT, which may create separation between black men and black women. See, if he would have got professional help, which he could have got for free, Ice Cube, could you please come and talk to me about my plan, Republican or Democrat? This dude could have went to his publicist, because that's a very good one, and talked to this individual about having people meet for him for free. He could have shopped this dude around town, went to the finest steakhouse in fucking LA or Oakland, and had this motherfucker give him free advice. He didn't do that. You want to know why? He didn't respect the process.
Or he could have humbled himself and just said, hey, I'm Ice Cube. I don't know too much about politics, but I want to find a way to use my platform to contribute. What can I go and do?
Yeah, or he could say,
you do it that way. You can do a lot more.
He could have said it on both sides. He could have said it on both sides.
Or he could have said, hey, listen, I'm Cube. Y'all know who I am. Listen, I don't know shit about this politics game like this. I ain't really good at this, but y'all are. Let's sit down. Let's put this plan together, and you guys break this thing down in such a way, man, where we can.
Here's the other thing.
You know,
here's the other thing.
But you know,
hire somebody to examine his track record. Are you the best person to be making this case? They were like, look, you're respected by these people, but at the end of the day, the people who you really need to be talking to, they're not gonna talk to you, dude, because of your track record, right? So it's like
you gotta fall back. You gotta fall back on that.
Okay. Let's say he was dependent on those people who are defending him right now. They were like, look, do you have the numbers that could politically shield any candidate across the country, even in blue states, from what's written on this paper?
Mhm.
The answer is why I gotta do all this work. This is exactly what the shit is. It's a lot of work. All the shit you wrote down, there are people who do this shit for a living across the country. You couldn't get in contact with nobody. You just decided to put yourself on top. Like, this is why I'm saying this shit was an intention given thing. They
Yeah.
reach out to these people because they know they'll do anything for clout, clicks, views, hearts, and all this other shit. So now you got all these other people who have to clean up after your ass.
And on top of that, like you said, right now it's trendy, it's fashionable right now to be involved in politics and be politically active, but we know some major change is going to take some time. And see, these guys, it's a fad to them. It's hey, I
Yeah.
want to be in this, and then a month, 2 months from now, I'm on to the next thing. It's like, no, this thing's going to take a couple years.
Yeah, you gotta sit back and really crank this out. This is most of these moves. I mean, you just take a look at okay, I'll talk about civil rights very quickly, which everybody would seem to have some knowledge of, or at least some knowledge of it. We saw what happened in the '60s and so forth. That wasn't a movement that just happened in the '60s. This was something that really started to take serious shape back. I mean, in the form that it was back from the First World War days. Guys,
Yeah,
going back
you go back to the 20s.
Yeah, going back to the 20s, and then moving in, and then people like Adam Clayton Powell and all them starting to have started their boycotts and stuff like that of stores on 125th Street and everything else like that back in the 30s. And then it moved, and it kind of kind of snowballs from there. So a movement like this took 30 years, and a guy like Adam Clayton Powell started out as a councilman and then became chairman of the House Ways and Means. 51% of all domestic legislation came across his desk. The most powerful black politician we had damn near in our history before we had people like Obama and them out there. But and these guys were front running the movement. And you got some major, unbelievable legislation done. That
Man, they're going. I don't know if some of these guys even know who Adam Clayton Powell is.
Dude, they don't know
Yeah, I don't
any of this shit. They don't know any of this shit. If it's not please and WAP at the end of the day, they have no idea who these people are. Let me read off the a message chat. Yeah,
that is true.
I agree with Zero. The Black Manosphere is a business hub where you have a sound marketing strategy to push your brand forward so that I can't even finish the shit. I'll finish it for you. You have a sound marketing brand that you walk away from halfway after you've built your fucking marketplace to where you like, ta-da, like motherfucking Jack in the Box. Like, this is the reason why I'm actually here. After you get the shit that you want, which I'm going to go over a week from Friday. And you can't claim I'm not fucking successful. I can show you my tax return. I ain't got to lie about this shit. Good content, $5. Yeah, messed up on the MNT. He didn't do it the right way. That's the thing. Doing it the right way, good content, would have cost him zero. Would have cost him a lot more time. But at the end of the day, when did he come up with this plan? A plan that's to be dropped right before an election, like some Kanye West fucking mixtape or album? Dude, get the fuck out of here, man. You don't even fucking belong here. Get out of here. You're trying to make it about yourself. That's what these celebrities do. This is why I don't even worry about what these people talk about or any of that shit.
Yeah, agreed.
Because they run off of people with names in the mouth. That's what they run off of. And here's the thing. Other people have celebrities that support them too. You know what they support? They support the deal that's on the table. They don't try to walk in with their fucking deal, and because you're a celebrity, you get your fucking shit. It's like, dude, this is a process, a program. If the women are so much farther ahead than fucking men, then why the fuck ain't the women coming up with the shit for the whole community? He had to explain this shit to the women who are not even for the community. He never even checked with anybody. That's what I'm saying.
That shit was crazy, man. A lot of people they get mad at you when you come down on, oh, he done this. Shit was whack. That was a ridiculous move. And a lot of people, they dragged him. He got dragged, right, and rightfully so. You know, and now he's back kind of licking his wounds a little bit, sitting there saying, "Oh, look at this shit." Yeah,
No,
dog.
no, you're like international chauvinist patriarchy. No, I can't be. What are you talking about? I have a clearance. Dude, they would pull my shit in a heartbeat if I didn't pay my taxes on time and shit. No,
Nah,
like,
gotta pay
like,
corporate
yeah,
taxes. I pay every quarter.
it's like this. If you pay $750 in taxes, that means you had some immense losses during that fucking year. Okay, immense losses.
Immense,
or years before, and you're using those credits in this year
and
at some point.
he's carrying them forward. And then and then he was getting refunds, man, for 10 million and all that kind of stuff. He was playing the system. He was playing the game and overjacking the value of his properties to take bigger deductions. You see, all of that shit is punishable. These are crimes, dog. But yet, he's still dipping around, unmolested, and hey man, like Biden. Well, no, I guess Biden didn't want to even get into those weeds, but someone like me would have been like, yeah, you got all that overvalued shit, man, and you taking big deductions on it, dude. You
Got a
a
half a billion got a $500 million in debt coming due in the next few years.
Yeah, man, 2020, 2022, man. That's a lot. That's a lot of bread. I don't care. Anybody can say.
Okay.
$400 million.
Address something in chat. Big Ed. He does have $100 million net worth supposedly. This is why he can't be. This is why he can't be let off the hook for making fucking mistakes like this.
That's right.
No, you can't be making mistakes like this, and especially when you got Shines in the manosphere defending you. Yeah, you really done fucked up, right? You have fucked up at that point.
I was about to say, moving like that without a plan, that's a good way to lose your net worth. Plenty of black celebrities that were 100 million in net worth and lost it all. Bad business investments, not thinking and vetting people properly, not moving correctly, and it caught up with them.
Not hiring the right people. It'll get your ass every time.
Fooling their money. Lucky to get together in the first place.
Thinking that your actual idea is putting people on rather than running a smooth business model with actual competent people. Hell yeah, it'll fuck your shit up. It'll fuck my shit up.
Yeah. We've all been there, but I'm just saying, it's an expensive lesson when you learn it too, boy. It's an expensive one. Motherfuckers get harsh and real business savvy by the stings you take, by getting burned.
No, it's just at the end of the day, man. I respect competent people in competent positions because I wouldn't hire. You know how many people who promise me that they can fucking be able to overhaul this fucking truck for cheap when I know how much the rebuild kit costs? But when I check this motherfucker actual shit to see if they can actually do the work, this motherfucker is calling around, see if somebody can quote unquote supervise him doing the fucking work. Like, dude, I would never let you touch my shit.
Fuck out of here.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Don't even mention the fallout that's gonna come. You're not only gonna have to pay to fix his mess up, you're gonna have to pay for, hey, I had this delivery that was due today, and now I gotta pay a late fee because I can't get it there because repair's not done. It compounds.
Yeah, and it's like, look, the only person who respects someone who does something out of turn is people who don't care about the process from beginning to end in the first place. You have people here who went through a ton of school to get their certification. Endorsing somebody who went through no training to talk about politics. Make that make sense to me.
Seen that last night.
Yeah.
Seen that shit last night. Guys got excavating companies, everything else like that, all kind of shit, all kind of processes you got to go through to get right. And you saying this guy's representing? No, he's not. Whether you understand that, no, he's not. So, like I said, I don't even want to get through that again. I know a lot of cats here have probably, heard what we were talking about before, but yeah, I want to, if anything, let's get the right people out front. Let's get the right people out front.
Let's train up the right people as their actual career field to worry about this shit exclusively as their job, so that way we don't need fucking celebrities to represent us.
Yeah.
I just want,
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna quickly say I just want you held to the same standard. Yeah, I mean, if I got to go to school and jump through these hoops, and that's what they say is what I need to do, like you driving trucks MOT, I got to go get my CDL, have so much time, follow these same. Why am I gonna not hold the next man to it in his respective field?
Where we're at with this. It's where we're at.
All right, Wrong Planet X. They got rid of an entire generation. How come we're not going after these shine motherfuckers who claim they sold drugs back in the day and there was the fucking first choice of these women back in the day? Why the fuck are we starting at the crime bill? That's the reason why these motherfuckers are locked up. How come we can't talk about the motherfuckers who actually sold all this shit to our own people? When did we start punishing those motherfuckers, right? So it's like, okay, we want to talk about the crime bill, but we don't want to talk about the motherfuckers who actually did the crime, right? You didn't have to pick that shit up and sell it. The people who was on that shit, okay, fine. They had a motherfucking health problem. Which, how most countries deal with the shit. This is how we're dealing with it right now. Like it's a health problem. And guess what? Those crime statistics are off the chains in rural America. Off the chains in West Virginia. Off the chains in motherfucking Oregon. Off the chains in motherfucking Idaho. But do you, Utah, especially rural Utah.
Oh, yeah.
Do you ever hear them explain the shit or even say these motherfuckers need to be locked up and locked away? No, they would never say that shit on national fucking TV. But they had 30 years to say that shit against us under the same circumstances.
They did. And not only did they do that, no. Go ahead, Renaissance Man. I think you're getting ready to say something. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to quickly add, going back to what we were talking to earlier, Biden authored it, but you got a whole bunch of people that co-signed and helped pass it. So we got to hold everybody accountable.
Yeah, and then look at what's going on today. Now they're suing drug companies for Purdue
overprescribing shit.
Overprescribing Oxycontin, getting motherfuckers torn out the frame on that, and then saying, okay, well, since we're going to have you in bankruptcy court, what we're going to do is we're going to, if you want to keep the company going, we're going to make it a public company where people can come in and get treatment and all this kind of stuff. I mean, a whole different look on the game is right now. You got drug courts and all the stuff in place that, Biden was right about, where they did not want to throw you in jail, where they said you had to go to rehab, and they treated you more like a patient as opposed to a criminal. Most black people, I remember back in the 70s, when I was a teeny bopper, and Harlem was full of the heroin flowing through there like it was the Nile River, man. And people nodding out on the corners. It was literally The Walking Dead. But yet, they put a lot of people in jail for being addicts. Put a lot of people in prison for being addicts, man. A lot of people went to jail for that shit, for being have a little bit of dope on them for their own use. They weren't distributors or major sellers or wholesalers, nothing like that. And they were on hard drugs, and they threw their asses in jail. And they let the white folks walk. That's why white people are all on these drugs like that now, because they didn't go to jail. They just stayed on them drugs. And there they are. That's why they created that own problem for themselves. They threw you in jail. And now they're treating it differently now that they got so many addicts. And what they're not telling you is the huge addiction rate that's going on right now in these United States of Oxycontin and heroin in the white community. That's even grown more during COVID that no one's talking about.
Oh, yeah. It's going to continue to. You start talking about like what we've been talking about on the Brain Trust with, these jobs going away and people moving out the city and you stuck out in the rural, man.
Yeah. That's right. I
mean, like where I live at, 15 minutes to the city. Rode it on my bike every time I go home. Could prove I could do it. End of the day, man. We are all we got to depend on. Because a lot of people want to keep this system going. No, they talk a lot of shit about how much they care about the outcome of black boys and shit, but they don't want to stop how these families get created in the first place because they're cussing to the paycheck. They're cussing to the actual clout residue that they have on their face whenever they talk, right?
Mm.
Everything's about to whop in this goddamn face. So it's like, man, look, at the end of the day, we should be talking about progress. And anybody talking about this WAP bullshit shouldn't even fucking be here.
Mhm.
It's like when Hammer talks about, like, whoa, all these people. No. Those people attached themselves to a mission and they decided to betray the mission at some point. That had nothing to do with the original point of the mission. The original point of the mission was let you know about the options, you make better decisions. Now you got people who just showed up who's trying to coach you through the bad decisions that they're not currently making, but you're gonna be making them while they're sitting back trying to coach you through the shit. So it's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with the manosphere. I swear to God, there's nothing wrong with it. A lot of people attach themselves to the manosphere, donated through Super Chat to change the message of the manosphere to get all these buck dancing niggas to start supporting host shit and host shit topics. So that way they can co-opt the manosphere through their fucking Super Chats. That's what happened, dude. It's not hard. It really isn't. They can't survive without fuckery, bro. I built my life without fuckery, bro, to fucking make it. That's the fucking point.
And the crazy thing is, you got these dudes who want money to start businesses, and I'm like, if the manosphere is representation of how some of these dudes are gonna do business, man.
Dude, listen.
Hey, some
They
guys.
cannot wait to stab you in the fucking face the moment that your ass ain't looking, because that's how the clout chase shit works, man.
Man,
They just waiting for you to
Oh.
watch your back to fucking plug your ass in the chest with both fucking daggers.
and I
They
wouldn't
don't
step,
give a fuck.
wouldn't step closer. Some of these dudes up here wouldn't step closer.
Nah.
They talking about, well, you see me, man. You know, keep it walking, man. I don't even want to, no, y'all. You got to sit down. We got to be talking about business. What? Nah.
Fuck out of here. I mean, man, like when I
I'm
first started off 5 or 6 years ago, first motherfuckers who I met in Denver. You know, these motherfuckers showed up at my motherfucking place when they knew I wasn't fucking there. One of these motherfuckers was living in my fucking place and I didn't even fucking know because I wasn't there for 2 months. This is the type of shit you deal with whenever you deal with. Yes.
What?
Yeah. Trust me.
Oh,
I have
my
a very
God.
good reason why I don't even want to fuck with these motherfuckers like that. But
Drift.
this, yeah, I mean, but to motherfuckers like them, this shit's normal. You want to know why? A dude got to eat. So I should be able to let him come up however the fuck it's going to be able to happen. So I'm like, look, man, at the end of the fucking day,
Yeah.
at the end of the fucking day, we can't be sitting around trying to collar these motherfuckers who's trying to empower the exact same people who spoke for this shit in the first place and entertain these motherfuckers for years. Remember how everybody came to the space and tried to act like if people had more access to sex, that they would ignore the outcomes of everything? Like, dude, I'm going into a lot of shit next Friday, man. A lot of shit. And so that way,
Yeah,
we can have it pretty much down pat who the fuck you gonna be trusting and who your ass ain't gonna be trusting with this motherfucker after I get done speaking. Because at the end of the fucking day, man, we cannot have these nouveau shines coming through this motherfucker with a fresh coat of fuck shit all over them, trying to regain the conversation and throw it right back into the hands of WAP. That's what they want to do.
Can't have it. MOT, I got to get up first thing, man. I got to be up early, man. Man.
All right, yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I get it, man. Yeah, I get it. So you got any last word before you get up out of here?
Nah, man. I just think, dope ass stream again. We saw a pretty decent debate. Glad to go over that. And,
between both of them, man, I was proud of Trump tonight, man.
He
had a strong showing. He looked like he was going to get off the rails for a while. It looked like they cut his mic, like maybe, you know the people in the media. They're going to see how many times they cut his actual mic. But he did get it back under control because he was going on that run-on sentence shit beyond the fucking time period and changing the actual context of the question, the shit that didn't need to be, and all that stuff is for the base of the party, bro. You already got the base of the party. If you're trying to still cape for the base of the party when the election is less than this amount, dude, you're in trouble.
Yep, and the only people I saw him trying to move outside of to grab was he's trying to hurt the black. He's trying to get herd more black people in to his camp. He's trying to herd folks over. That's what I saw him trying to do as far as really expanding. I think towards where his weakness was in the suburbs and white women and this kind of deal. He didn't. I didn't see him make that type of move in. So he thinks blacks are maybe going to come out and he's going to cut into the black vote, which still remains to be seen. But
Go ahead.
Go ahead, because I'm gonna get ready to hop off. Go ahead, fam. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to quickly say that's the funny part is the way he's turned off the suburbs. It may turn into Democrats basically win because of winning the suburbs, and he peels off a portion of the black vote.
These people are pissed off out. Like, dude, I'm in Texas. I'm in Amarillo. These people ain't feeling that shit, dude. Like, a lot of these middle class people who have businesses and shit who cannot open back up, who had to take that PPP money, they can't open back up. They're pissed at that shit, man. Like, listen, this is what it's gonna come down to with this election.
And that PPP money wasn't heavy enough to keep these cats moving like that either. I mean, this just was fucked up. Anyway, go ahead, Emily. Go ahead.
Here's the thing: for the amount of black support that Trump is going to get, he's going to lose the suburban Republican community by anything that the black community cannot. He could get 100% of the black male vote. The amount of shit he's going to lose based on his performance and his COVID shit, the white working class people is going to wipe that shit out. And these people are voting early, and they're about to get rid of the fact that you ain't gonna be able to do this shit no more after this election's over. Hey man, y'all in a lot of trouble, man.
Yeah, no. They got a lot of votes in the bank right now. A lot of votes in the bank. Them long ass lines and shit. I'm like, man. They talking about Georgia. He up in Georgia. What? How he up in? He up in Georgia and shit. Biden taking Georgia, man. I don't know. So anyway,
they're breaking records down there on early voting.
They are breaking major records. They break dancing on them bitches. I mean, for real, the records are getting snapped up. Dallas, they snapping shit up in there. Texas, they going ham.
Hey man, I was in Dallas and San Antonio, man. I went downtown, looked at shit, and I ran the car, and I'm like, oh shit, what the fuck? Oh, okay, they're voting for the only voting box they had for miles on end. I'm like, dude, this shit is an atrocity.
No.
Atrocity. Because
who's
waiting in line to go?
Is there a worse word? Is there a word even worse? Is there even worse? A worse word? I don't know, man. It's an atrocity. Almost seems like it's that's an understatement, man. This is unbelievable. This is democracy. The motherfuckers waiting 8, 9 hours. Old man.
This is the shit we trying to spread through the military to other places. Are you kidding me? Like this is what we're supposed to be spreading through like $790 billion in actual upfront military costs and another who knows off the books.
And they talking about law and order? Law and order, man? This is law and order, man? Law and order?
At the end of the day, man, like this is where we are. And at the end of the day, I'm not letting these motherfuckers off the hook. I got a long list. And this barbecue pit is gonna be like a pig. When it comes to the Cubans, we're going to put this motherfucker in the ground. And we're going to come back after a couple of fucking days.
Man, I am feeling you on that. My brother, that's Bud Light. Renaissance Man.
Got anything else before we go, Renaissance Man?
No, I'm good. Right. I was going to ask you. You going to do something on election night?
Yes, 6 hours of coverage. We're gonna start at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. We're gonna go all the way to midnight because that's when the polls close in California. Typically, I think it's 9 o'clock p.m. So we should have a close to an answer for most states on election night. But to me, I want all votes to be counted, even if your ass got a placebo ballot, which I think the way Trump has actually contested this shit is going to be easily sent to the Supreme Court before they get ready to expand the court. I say send it to the Supreme Court, have them voted down, expand the Supreme Court to 900 fucking people. Get all this shit the fuck out of here. Citizens United, motherfucking, all this shit gotta go.
For sure. For sure. That Citizens United shit's gotta go, man. And yeah, hitting that right in the head. But I will say this: get out and vote, peeps. If y'all gonna vote, get out and vote. Get out and vote. Get out early. Hit the polls early, fam. Hit the polls early, man. Don't have to.
And here's the other thing: if you vote for Trump, I don't care. But when it comes for us to actually be a coalition and vote on shit, you better have something to say. You better have something for people to go to. Don't tell me your ass is just as over there with your presence and your fucking trolling, and you ain't got shit to fucking put on the table. That's a problem. If you ain't got nothing like that. So you mean you went over there just to troll us? Get the fuck out of here. So what I'm saying is, man, look, participate in the process and vote for your local people, man. Because even if you don't feel shit nationally, there's a lot of things going on locally in your community that you need to be vitally actually paying attention to. So I just want y'all to participate in the process because that's what the fuck I fought for, right?
All politics is local. Councilman, straight up. All this shit is significant. All right, MOT, great show, man. Renaissance man, I'll check you out next time. All right.
All right, peace.
All right, cool.
Peace.
All right, man. And as for these political fucking grifters who are changing your fucking name, I'm coming for that fucking head after this shit's over with. Don't even worry about it. Don't even motherfucking worry about it. I don't want to hear white supremacy from another pro-black in this motherfucking sector who talked that Trump shit during this time period. I don't even want to hear this shit. I don't even want to fucking hear it.
Oh, shit.
I don't even want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to fucking hear it. At the end of the day, man, y'all have got to be on y'all shit and keep your eye on the fucking prize. It's about separating and have our own fucking power. Not trying to worry about what the fuck WAP is trying to do. And not doing WAP tech support. That's all I got, man. I want to thank y'all for coming through, listening to the stream. I'm the man tomorrow. You guys have a really nice day. The next time we're going to be talking about politics is the actual election night. We're going to start streaming at 6 o'clock Eastern. It's going to be me, Mike V, Nagone 11, probably DC, and some other people is going to stop through. We're going to need a lot of people to come through to fill those 6 hours, but it's important. And most of these people who supported Cube and probably Nipsey Hussle and all that shit, they didn't cover no fucking politics tonight. They ain't cover none of that shit. You want to know why? Because they don't give a fuck. They're trying to take advantage of your political naivete when it's very easy to learn this shit. It takes time. I've never changed my fucking message. I don't want to be represented by a certain group of black men. I'm not going to lower my fucking head to no fucking entertainer. I know what entertainers are about. Entertainers are about being seen and trying to put their head in shit that it don't fucking belong. You don't see any other community working like that. So, I'm the man tomorrow. Like, share, comment, subscribe. You guys have a really nice night. Vote. I don't give a fuck if you vote for Trump. But when it comes for us to actually coming together and getting our shit straight and voting on men's issues, you better have something to fucking vote on and something to take to these goddamn people when we go over there. Otherwise, you're just wasting your fucking time. Have a nice day. Peace. No, we'll have it on my channel.